welcome back to the National Pastime. I'm Nash.
I'm Aaron.
Yeah, your computer wheezing just makes me laugh. It's got a breathing cycle. It's like
I know one day it's just gonna die. And it's not gonna turn
it
on.
sounds like it's dying. It sounds like it's a living creature.
You know, it's crazy. It sounded like that for like 3 years. And it's not dying. So
got it plugged into all kinds of iron lungs. It's time to pull the plug. You get it? Because it's an electronic that's plugged into the wall there. Works on so many layers. All right, last time we talked about going to India and all that jazz.
Yeah, you loved it, right?
Yeah, it was a thing I did. So then I took a break and I went off to Nepal. So we're going to talk about that. Talk about my time in Nepal. So I'm leaving India. You might recall, if you listened to the last one. If you didn't listen to the last one, I had to escape India, and then I had to catch this bus to the border town. It was a huge deal. And then when I got to the border town, they just drop you off, and then I'm like, "Why?" Because you gotta I guess you can hire someone, like a taxi or whatever, to go through the border and then whatever. But I was like, just walk. It's fine. So walk a couple miles. I'm just doing the big see you later, India. Boo! I'm out of here. Bye, Nash. Out. And then I get out of India, cross over into Nepal, and this guy's like, "Hey, did you go through Indian customs?" And I was like, "No. Where is that?" He's like, "We gotta go back into India, and then it's 2 miles down this road, and it's just in this alley over here. Just go into that alley and get your passport stamped." And I was like, "What?"
Their
okay.
Customs is in an alley.
Yes. So then I had to do the walk of shame back into India and be like, "Hey, you know how I was telling you guys off a second ago? Just kidding about all that. Where's the customs house?" And yeah, it was in a little alley. You just go in, and it's a shack. And they're like, "Oh, you leaving?" Yes. I'm like, "All right, give me your passport." Is this a real thing? Are you about to steal my passport? Because, everything's a scam, as we previously discussed before. But no, I guess it was as legit as anything is in India. So they stamped me out, and then I had to walk back over to Nepal across the, whatever, quarter-mile
No
buffer.
man's land.
Yeah, the no man's land, the buffer. And I just standing in the no man's land, between the two countries, is so fascinating because there's some power lines that go from one country to the next. Who's paying for that? Where's it coming from? Where's it going? And also, if I'm standing in the no man's land and I kill somebody who's not a citizen of either one of those two countries, what happens?
No one cares.
No one cares. Yeah, That's it, because I was like, shit, if I come back through here and the border's closed, I might have to sleep in the no man's land, and what happens if someone stabs me? We'll work on that. How many people can I stab? Gotta work out the mathematics. So anyway, I get into Nepal, and I was like, it's good to be out of India. Everything's gonna be all right. And then so, I go to the bus station, where are you trying to go? And I was like, I'd like to go to Kathmandu, please. And they're like, sure, right up here, we'll get you a guy to get your ticket. I'm like, oh, yeah, awesome. So I could get up there, and immediately he just tries to swindle me into buying a hotel room. I was like, no! I'm just trying to get out of this! But that was, the only time. It was only like that because we were right on the border. So I got this bus ticket, and here's the thing about Nepal we'll get into later. We can get into it now, whatever. Nepal's buses are bad, and every conceivable metric you can use to measure. In fact, all their transportation is real bad. So Nepal as a country is not very large from a flat two-dimensional map standpoint. It's 60 miles north to south and a couple hundred miles east to west.
It's basically just a big rectangle.
It's super vertical. The verticality is insane, because, you got the Himalayan range there, kicking around Everest, and it's basically Tibet now. And, so, I took a bus 60 miles, took 18 hours. In theory, you could walk 60 miles, faster than 18 hours.
But this, I assume you're basically taking meandering, winding around.
Yes, yeah, because you're climbing up and down mountains and over precarious gorges and what have you. And the vehicles themselves are super old. They're really, really old. And they're I don't know, they're like 50 years old typically or something, and they're not well maintained. I mean, they run, but they're not like super well maintained. But here's the thing, like as we discussed previously, like I'm a big-ish guy, like when you don't have anything next to me for scale. But like if you put me next to an American person, I'm not a large person at all. Like I'm 5'9" and 180 pounds. Or 170, right now I'm like 170 something pounds. But like put me next to a Nepali guy, and I am huge. Literally twice the size of the person that these buses were built for. Literally. Like, I have to, like, duck in, and then when I sit on the bus seat, I take up 2 bus seats, and my knees, like, you know, from my kneecap to my hip, that's like one solid unbendable bone. Some people call that a femur. And that bone does not fit in the gap between the 2 seats. Like, I'm just too big. So I had to get into this bus with no shocks and rickety seats and ride for 18 hours, crunched up with my bones grinding together, all hunched over. It was really unpleasant. But here's what I didn't know at the time. So later on I found out I was on another... Well, this bus was only like, I think, 14 hours. But later on I was taking an 18-hour bus. And out of Kathmandu to another place. And... I'm on this bus, and I'm like, man, this is just really dangerous. And there's, like, it's similar to India. Like, there's no, like, there are cops, but there's not a lot of, like, high-level crime or anything there, so you don't have to worry too much in Kathmandu. Like, it's a pretty chill place. Compared to India, it's super relaxing. I mean, the air is kind of viscous because there's a lot of dust. So, like, every morning and a couple times a day, everyone would go out with buckets of water and just dump it on the road to try to, like, wet the road down to keep it from being so dusty. Like, you can't breathe. It's so dusty. So it's either a mess walking around or a mess breathing in. Like, it's a very dusty place, like, viscous-y place, but viscous in different reasons from India. So it's not just because of all the garbage fires. It's mostly from, like, drought and stuff like that. But, yeah, they don't have a good infrastructure, so, like, they don't have trains or anything like that, because it's so lumpy there. Yeah. Like, it's all up and down and then left to right, swerving around or whatever, so they don't have the ability to, like, have trains. So, like, all their roads are, like, going in crazy MC Escher shapes, but then they have earthquakes, and it just destroys whatever roads they've been trying to build, so they just have all these, like, half-car width roads that are, like, not maintained at all because you can't maintain them because nature just shuts it down all the time. So you're just going over these like giant moon craters for 18 hours, and the roads are like half a car length wide, but they still put like 2 or 3 lanes of traffic on this half lane road, and there's official traffic rules, but there's no enforced traffic rules, so it's just like whatever. And so I'm on this 18-hour bus. I'm like, man, this is crazy. This whole traffic situation is crazy, and like there's no like in the Western world you can walk around with kind of a chip on your shoulder. Like if someone's driving like an asshole, like, yeah, I want you to hit me, yeah, do it, I need the money, like I'll see you in court, buddy, like I'm gonna take you for all you're worth. But like if you're in Nepal and someone hits you with their car and you have a broken leg, that's just you now. You just have a broken leg. That's the end of it. Like, people will, like, crash into each other and then just, like, get out and leave. Like, that's it. Like, you just have... If you hit another car, then you just have 2 broken cars. That's all that happens. Like, the end. And, so it's just like, oh, man, like, kind of gotta be on guard a little bit. So I'm, like, on this bus and I'm, like, reading a book about Nepal. And, turns out, in Nepal, you have a 30 times greater chance of being in a traffic incident than any other country, any other developed country. 30 times greater, and the reason is, one, their infrastructure, like, no good roads, no enforced traffic laws, and it's super vertical. 2, vehicles not exceptionally well maintained, and 3, most of their drivers are either super tired or drunk. Like, yeah, so and they're like, what do we do? Don't take an overnight bus. Like, I'm on an 18-hour bus ride. Like, it's going overnight. And so I was like, well, sometimes they blow things out of proportion. Nope, I actually saw some people die. So I'm like on this 18-hour bus ride, and we're going up this mountain, and this other bus is like, no, I'm not having this slow traffic with all this other traffic that's backed up for infinity because no one can get anywhere. So it's just like pulls out, and it's going to like go around, and it's just like, whoop, it drives off the mountain. But M. Night Shyamalan turn, it actually gets stuck teetering on the side like an action movie, and so they got everybody out before it like went over. So I was like, wow, what a close call. That's some stuff. But now I'm like super paranoid about being on this bus. Yeah. And then later on this...
Tell your bus, hey, you saw what happened, right? Don't do that.
And the guy's
I
like...
appreciate it greatly.
The guy's like, I am way too drunk to care about that bus. Like, oh no. But yeah, so like... so then later on that same bus ride, we're going over this bridge. We're going across this bridge, across this gigantic-ass gorge. Like... I'm going to throw out a number. I don't know if it's accurate, but it's the Himalayan region, so it might not be unrealistic. I'm going to say like 1,000 feet deep. I don't know. Like, how tall are buildings? Like, average-sized?
A
few hundred feet? Yeah, I don't know. Like a couple of those. So we'll say, 500 to 1,000 feet drop, at least.
So typically, it's I think it's supposed to be like 10 feet per floor.
10 feet per floor?
So if you have like a 10-story building, that'd be about 100 feet.
Okay. Well, we were
over 100 feet, maybe
yeah.
Probably like 125, 130.
All right. Well, we were super high up. I'll be conservative. I'll say 500 feet down, but it was real high up. We're crossing this gorge, and we're on a bridge, like an actual bridge, and you know how bridges have like guardrails on the side. Like this bridge has guardrails, but they're just made of like non-reinforced plaster. Like there's like no like metal or anything. Like
it would stop you if you were like on a bicycle.
Maybe, but there's just like decoration.
You just kind of bumped into it.
Yeah,
but yeah, a car
the whole
guardrail
just falls off. Yeah, so we're crossing this bridge and 2 lanes of traffic, and one of these cars was like, "I'm not having this. It's taking too long." So it just pulls out and decides it's gonna like supersede the rest of traffic and like misjudges and loses control and drives through the guardrail and drives off this bridge.
Wow.
100% dead.
And just plummets
super fucking dead. Yeah, they're so dead. And traffic was moving so slowly, like, a lot of the people just got out of their vehicles and were, like, looking over, like, yeah, did you see that? They're super dead. Like, what are you going to do? They're dead now. Like, super, and not even, like, shocked or anything. They're just like, yeah, what? Yep, that's the way the bridge crumbles. Like, I was just like, oh, Jesus, I've only been on this bus, like, 6 hours. Like, statistically speaking, I'm definitely going to die on this bus. Nepali Airlines crash so often, they're not even allowed in European airspace.
Wow.
So, like, because they just crash all the time. So, like, people are like, 18-hour bus ride, why don't you just fly? Like, I do not want to be in a Nepali plane crash. Like, I would rather be in some other plane crash. Like, looking at the rest of Nepal's infrastructure.
So, like, is the crash, like, even with the crashes, is that talking about even outside of Nepal?
Yeah.
Just Nepali pilots,
I don't
no matter where they're flying.
I don't think Nepali pilots fly anywhere besides around Nepal. Like, and I mean there are, I think there is a Nepali airway, but I mean they have like a nice airport. So I'd imagine that like planes go long distance in and out of there, but I don't think any Nepali pilots like Nepali
fly
Airways
really anywhere except in Nepal.
Yeah, I don't think like Nepali Airways.
Because that's why it's where like, okay, well maybe it could be attributed to that, and it's like, oh, they have like insane weather conditions, and
no, they don't. I mean, there's weather there, but like it's just being drunk and flying crappy stuff. I think, or being drunk and flying, driving crappy stuff. But yeah, I was just like, wow, welcome to Nepal. But yeah, that wasn't until later on, like way later on in Nepal that all happened. But yeah, so I took this obnoxious 13-hour bus ride that was literally the worst bus ride still to this day, even after watching those people die. This initial Nepali bus is the worst mode of transportation I have ever taken because my bones were like all smashed together. And then this group of like Chinese nuns got on. They were like on some pilgrimage to Kathmandu, and they just got on the bus and they were just singing like for the whole 13 hours, like Chinese nun hymns or whatever, and I was like, I'm so tired and uncomfortable, and like the buses are so bad. I forgot to mention this when I was talking about India, so we'll just talk about it now. When me and my buddy went to this one place, in order to save money, because I'm a cheapskate, instead of taking like a taxi or whatever, I made the executive decision that we would take a public bus, and it was a 3-hour ride on this rickety bus, and we got sat in the very front of the bus next to the driver, and so my buddy was sitting like a quarter of a butt cheek on a leather chair, and I was smushed onto the floor on like a metal grate. And that was bad, but it was nowhere near as bad as this 13-hour like gauntlet boss that I had to get. But when I finally got to Kathmandu, it was a literal breath of fresh air because I had just come from India. So as I said before, it was way better. But yeah, but then like the cars are like driving around and stuff, and this is like, man, I should probably kind of watch out for my surroundings and related to automobiles. So before we started recording this episode, you said you knew some stuff about Nepal. What do you know about Nepal?
Very limited. I know that the Gurkhas are from Nepal.
They are from Nepal. Here comes a thing about the Gurkhas.
You don't fuck with Gurkhas.
You don't. So for those of you that don't know, they're supposed to be some of the most badass / crazy soldiers on the planet.
Yeah.
So back in the day, I guess the British Army just like recruited them as cooks and stuff because they're like kind of a Sherpa.
Well, like it was really about that. Like, so originally, going further back before they became part of the British Army.
Yeah.
When the British were colonizing like India and going into Nepal, they fought against the Gurkhas, and basically because the Gurkhas were just slaughtering them, like they weren't making any headway.
Yeah.
They just decided to like, all right, well, let's just incorporate them into our army.
Solid plan.
Yeah. So they like basically made peace because like they couldn't defeat them.
Yeah.
And then they became kind of during World War I and World War II, kind of became a mainstay in the British Army. And they were kind of like the especially during like World War I and World War II, became kind of like the elite, kind of task forces that when you needed to take out any bunkers, whatever, you sent the Gurkhas.
Yeah,
they would get it done.
They're like crazy because they started off as like they joined the military, but they were like cooks and stuff. But they were like, on top of being just hauling some vegetables. Also, we don't want to lose any of our like sane soldiers. So just send a like platoon of completely insane chefs to go murder everybody. They're like indestructible. But yeah, so they have these like Gurkha shops in Kathmandu where you can supposedly go buy like Gurkha knives and stuff. Some of them are legit, some of them aren't. But they do have like flyers that not flyers, but like posters of some quotes about Gurkhas. One of them is it's better to die than to live a coward.
Mm-hmm.
Which is supposedly one of their proverbs. And then one of them is, if a man is not afraid of dying, he is either crazy. Oh, no. If a man says he's not afraid of dying, he's either lying
or a Gurkha.
He's either lying or he's a Gurkha. And so I met this one guy. I was staying at this hostel, and we, like, every night, we would all get together and, like, drink and, like, swap adventuring stories and stuff. And we're talking about the Gurkhas, and this guy was like, yeah, so my buddy, I don't know if the story's true. So I definitely don't know if it's true, because I'm getting this like third hand. Because the guy that told it to me said he didn't know if it was true. But his buddy told it to him. So apparently this guy's friend went up to a Gurkha and was like, hey, can I see your knife? Because they have very distinct like boomerang-shaped knives.
Kukri.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a curved machete.
Yes. It's exactly a perfect description. Yeah, it's like a...
But it's like a reverse curve.
Yeah, it's a...
not curved back like a scimitar. It's curved forward.
It's curved
for beheading.
Yeah, curved towards the thing you're cutting. Yeah. And so he went up to the Gurkha and he was like, can I see your knife? And the Gurkha pulled out his knife and then slit his own arm and was like, a Gurkha doesn't draw his knife unless it's to draw blood, and then handed him the knife. So he's like, yeah, I don't know if that's true, but it's the kind of thing you want to be true, and also sounds like it might be true. And I was like, man, that's crazy. So apparently that happened to this guy's friend. So he was like, yeah, can I see your knife? And the guy pulled out his knife and then slit his own arm and was like, there you go. Gurkha doesn't pull out his knife unless it's to draw blood. That checks out with the Gurkha being crazy. And
with another story that I know during World War II, that there was a platoon of Gurkha commandos, essentially, that basically the British officer was like setting up this like operation where they were going to like basically paratroop them into German territory. And so he's like saying, we're going to drop you off over this area, and they said like, well, they decided like usually the Gurkhas were up for whatever the mission was. But they said, we're going to drop you from, 10,000 feet over this territory. You guys go in, and then, basically just take out all the encampments. And he said that, only, half the people volunteered. They it was a volunteer mission. It was basically considered a suicide mission.
Right.
So
is it because they thought they didn't have parachutes?
yes,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they came back later because like only half of them like agreed, and he's like, "What was this? I heard like the Gurkhas would agree to anything." And he like asked their commanding officer, and he's like, "Well, let me talk to them." And he's like, he came back a few hours later, like, "Okay, they say we do it, but with a couple stipulations. Like one, get the plane down to at least 1,000 feet." And try to like drop us over like
something
swampland,
squishy.
and then the pilot's like, "Oh, I mean, we can't. If we drop down that low, like your parachutes won't work." And he's like, "Oh, well, parachutes? Oh yeah, then 10,000's fine."
Yeah.
Like they were basically saying they were willing to jump out of a plane at 1,000 feet with no parachute.
Yeah, which
But
people do.
But they were like at 10,000. No, that's too high.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Carefully.
You
Yeah.
do that in like water, right?
There's military ops. No, there's like
1,000 feet with nothing.
I'm pretty sure 1,000 feet. I mean, I know there's paratroopers that don't have parachutes.
I mean, even like 10 feet.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to do that. You know?
Tuck and roll.
I mean, still, also you're jumping out of an airplane that's moving very quickly.
Yes.
So even if you aren't really high, you're still moving very fast with forward velocity.
Wow.
Yeah. You're probably gonna hit something.
Holy
Tree,
crap.
rock, stray blade of grass. Just break your ankle immediately. Speaking of shady goings on, so I got to Kathmandu and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pick up some souvenirs for a couple of buddies of mine that requested some specific souvenirs. So I'm like looking around. I was like, I might get a little doodad for myself. So I hit the market and I was like, I'm doing some recon because Nepal is also no fixed price. So I was like, I'm gonna do some recon. So I spent 3 days combing the market, the bazaar. I went to every single stall multiple times over the course of 3 days to like really do all my reconnaissance. And then on the 4th day, I was like, it's time to strike. So I went in and I found this one that had like gathered everything I needed in one spot. So I was like, boom, let the games begin. So for all this junk, this guy wanted basically the equivalent of $250. And I was like, no. And so we were going back and forth. And this guy kept asking me if I was spec ops, like if I was special forces. And I was like, why would a special forces soldier have hair like this? And he was like, because you're special forces. Like, you're not the regular army.
I mean, I know they
And
have
I was
relaxed
like,
regulations with special
They
forces.
do, yeah.
But
And I was like, yeah, I'm not really the kind of guy to take orders for a long period of time. I'm more of a for rent kind of guy than an actual like forever working guy. And he's like, well, you gotta be something, man. You gotta be something. And I was like, well, what does it matter? And he's like, doesn't matter anything to me. And I was like, okay, then let's...
I don't care who you're here to kill.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you're not here to kill me. It's whatever. Like, all right, well, back to this pile of what I'll call garbage, even though it's stuff I was trying to buy. So he wanted $250. I got him down to 80. So not bad. So, I mean, still a lot of money, especially in Nepal. Ton of money. But I specifically budgeted for this. And like any sort of bargaining in a market in a third world country is basically like a knife fight. You just have to come to terms with the fact that you are going to get cut and just make sure it's not on a vital area and you're the one who walks away. So yeah, I lost $80, but I'm the one who made it out of there with everything I came to get. So totally rad. But while I was doing my market recon, so normally, like in India especially, you'd be looking at stuff, you even glance at a thing, they'd be like, my friend, I will give you this item, cheapest and best price for you, my friend. You will not find anywhere else. Do not walk away. This is the best price. And it's always the worst price. And it always is the cheapest. It's always the worst item. Yeah. Cheapest and best. Yes, I don't believe you. I don't believe a word. I don't even think you're really here. You're definitely some kind of hologram or figment of my imagination. This is all some kind of elaborate long con. Like, away, you're some kind of marionette or something. Like, this is all some kind of like a social experiment. Like, I don't know how deep down this con goes, but it's as far as you can imagine, it goes deeper than that. You can't even comprehend how deep it is. Like, cheapest and best. So normally that's how they like, my friend, and like the second you just brush them away. Like, my friend, like, no, stop, save your breath. You only get so many. You're wasting them. I don't want any of your garbage. I want that guy's garbage over here. And so yeah, that's normally how it goes. So I like wandering around the market, and I wind up in this like extra seedy back alley. I'm just looking at some stuff, and there's like this kind of like little like, not a kiosk, but like a small like table with bracelets and stuff on. I'm kind of looking. There's no one really around. And I see this guy to my peripheral vision. I'm like, oh, here we go. So he like starts coming up behind me, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna just be like, oh, cheapest and best or whatever. But instead of being like, my friend, he like got right behind me, and he was like, brother. And I was like, go on. Like I turned around, and like straight out of the gate, he was like, you look like you could beat anyone in a fight. And I was like, wait a minute. So like I turn around and look at this guy. And I can see that he's had his nose broken like several times. He's like a scar across his face and like a really distinct neck tattoo. I'm like, okay. Like kind of like piecing some stuff together. I'm like, yeah, I can take care of myself. I'm a survivor. And so he's like, yeah, we've got an underground fight club.
I was just like running.
Yes.
I was like, he's trying to recruit you to like do an underground
yes.
like cage match.
Yeah, so he's like, we've got a warehouse, an abandoned warehouse that everyone gets together every Friday and has illegal underground pit fighting. He's like, you should come to our illegal underground pit fighting arena, our Nepali like crime ring. And I was like, I don't know. And so I started looking at this guy. He like holds up his hands, and his hands are just like, you could tell they've been broken like 1,000 times. And I'm like, well, this guy's definitely been fighting, like for sure. Like his hands just look like they've been struck by lightning, like over the course of decades. And he's like, yeah, I've been fighting in the underground fighting arena for 36 years. And he's like, I don't have much time left, but I'm a 3rd-degree black belt in karate, so I do pretty well. And I was like, like in my head, I was like, And he's like, yeah, you should come. I could tell you'd enjoy it. And I was like, you don't know anything about me. And in my head, I was like, this sounds like I would enjoy it. But it's just playing it cool. Like, yeah, I might
check it out.
Yeah, I was like, I might pop by. And I'm already like sizing everyone up. I was like, all right, I'm the biggest and strongest. Everyone else is malnourished. I can totally just. He's like, yeah, if you win, every fight you win, you get $70. I was like, holy shit, that's a fortune in Nepal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna beat up like 12 guys, and I'm gonna have enough money to live on for a very long time. Like, it's just gonna be a big pile of bodies. Like, it's gonna be awesome. So I was like, yeah, I don't doubt, just playing it cool. Like, yeah, maybe, we'll see. I might give it a while. I might stop by and just like watch something, and just whatever. Like, I didn't let on that I'd had any kind of like actual training. He was just going by my physique and probably by like knuckle calluses and stuff. But like, I wasn't like, yeah, I'm awesome. Like, I was just like, yeah, I can take care of myself. But in my head, I was like, I will destroy everyone. But, so he was like, okay, well, here's the directions. So he gave me these, like, convoluted series of directions to get to the underground Nepalese Himalayan Kathmandu fighting circuit in this warehouse. So I took them all down, and I even took a picture of, like, where I met this guy at the intersection so I could, like, find it again and then, like, get back to this place. So Friday rolls around, and I cannot find this place. It's the middle of the night, and I'm just, like, wandering around all these back alleys. I can't find this place. I never found it. Like, the end. I never found it. And, like...
Did you go up to some, like...
I couldn't just go to a cop and be like,
hey, where's the underground fight club? I'm supposed to... It says it's around here.
Just go up to the police officer and be like, excuse me, my good man, where's your illegal pit fighting arena? Yes, the human death matches that are held close by. I'm looking to enter and murder some of your citizens. Could you point me in that direction, please? Yeah, I never found it. And I was like, oh, and like a part of me was like, oh man, like, that would have been super awesome. But then the other part of me was like, what if it wasn't even real? Like, what if it's just a warehouse full of like 12 dudes with knives, and I walk in and they're like, yeah, and they just stab me and like take all my money.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then the joke's on them times 2, because they were probably waiting for like 12 hours and I never showed up. And I didn't have any money anyway. So like, take that.
I mean, also if he was like broken nose and hands like a million times, like you said, like it could be way more crazy than what you were thinking.
Nah, I was thinking like traditional underground illegal pit fighting arena.
Okay.
Like, they usually only come in one flavor
until like the other dude just doesn't move.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like they usually only come in one flavor, and sometimes like you like fight somebody and then you're like, well, that is the end of that, and you go to leave and they're like, nope. So then just someone else gets in.
You got another guy.
Yeah.
Go back, you pussy bitch.
Now they just throw someone else in that's like bigger and bigger until you finally get beaten down. Like that's usually what happens.
Oh, you didn't win. You don't get the money.
Yeah, exactly. You
didn't
lost.
win every one of them.
You didn't lose every single one. Like, oh yeah, I should have looked closer at the contract that doesn't exist because this is a criminal crime ring. What am I doing here? But yeah, it's just like, oh man. But then I was like, probably wasn't even
Like, oh, it sucks, but it's probably for the best.
It's probably for the best, but always in the back of my mind. Plus, I'm going to go back to do more climbing anyway. Yeah. So, like, the next time I'm in Nepal...
next time you're there, now you know to check it out.
Yeah, going to be like, alrighty. Also, like, the whole week leading up to that Friday, I was, like, sizing up all of Kathmandu. Like, I was just like, what do we have here? I was like, alright, I'm twice the size of everyone, not malnourished, like, I'm in excellent shape, and I'm an actual fighter. Like, I am going to destroy... everyone. But then every once in a while, I would come across, like, a huge foreigner. And I'd be like, if this guy recruited me, I bet he's also recruited all these other guys. I bet there's not even Nepali guys that fight in this.
Yeah, it's going to be all these giant, like,
crazy
giant...
Yeah, it's all just crazy giant Russians. I was like, I should have known something was up. Like, if the fight Zangief from Street Fighter. But then, yeah, so I was like, it's probably nothing but juiced up foreigners. Like, crazy juiced up foreigners. And like spec ops dudes.
Yeah.
And I was like, still fine with it. And then I was out walking one time, and I saw a flyer for a kung fu school that did kickboxing, and I was like, those aren't very common around here. I wonder if these kickboxers fight in the underground arena. And then I saw this like super muscular, like the most muscular Nepali guy I've ever seen, like jogging. He was running, and he was running by me, and I was like. And he was like doing some like kung fu kind of shoulder rolls while he was like jogging by, and I was like, "This must be the boss of the underground pit fighting arena! Like, I will defeat you." But yeah, I never made it. And then like during our like rooftop restaurant hangout hostel sessions where we're all like telling adventure stories, everyone's like, "Your life is like a crazy kung fu movie." I'm like, "Oh, if you thought that before, guess what happened to me today?" And they're like, "Oh, did someone invite you to some like crazy illegal fighting thing?" And I was like, "Yes, actually, that happened." And
yeah, have you ever seen Bloodsport? That's basically what happened.
It was that. I'm Jean-Claude Van Damme, obviously. But yeah, so that was brother. I was like, go on. Yeah, I was like, this guy looks rough. like the second I saw him, I was like, this guy's seen some things, and it looks like he's going to see some more things. He's not your average Nepali guy.
He's not your average street vendor.
He's not your average street vendor. But also, yeah, like most Nepali people are like super laid back, like crazy super laid back, to the point where it might be like a detriment. Because like I said, like traffic incidences, like airline stuff, but like they have to deal with poverty. Like most of their population is rural, but it's not like crushing poverty like in India. It's just regular poverty. But like they've got like a super Hakuna Matata kind of attitude to everything. They're just like, oh, you know, the gods are the gods. What are you gonna do about it? Like I don't know, build a better plane, not get drunk while you're driving your huge old rickety bus. Get a better bus and be sober while you're driving 18 hours through like hellacious mountains. Like, there's things you could do, and they're like, but what are you gonna do? Like,
no. Like, yeah. The alcohol lets me cope with the fact I'm driving 18 hours.
Yeah, like that's basically it. And like, it's still like, so China took over Tibet, and so there was like a mass Tibetan migration out of like what used to be Tibet, and they moved into Nepal, and so now half of Nepal is Tibet now. Like it's the right outside of Kathmandu is the global seat of Tibetan culture, and like Tibetan Buddhism is like they still do like a lot of sacrifices and stuff. Like when they had their last big earthquake, they blamed well, not all of them, but some of them blamed it on this guy who held an art exhibition with some like partially nude lady paintings. They're like, you angered the gods, so we tried to like sink our whole country into the earth. Obviously we're gonna have to slaughter so many animals to like make up for this, which is what they did. But like anytime a plane crashes or an airport burns down or whatever, they do like sacrifices and rituals to try to like appease the gods. That's a thing that still happens there like super regularly. So like their Hakuna Matata thing has pluses, but also minuses. Like, it's a great coping mechanism, but all coping mechanisms can be used way too much. So it's kind of like made them complacent in sort of like position. But yeah, they're usually all super nice and laid back. So like it's a pretty chill place to be. And you got the Sherpas like climbing up all the mountains and sort of living on the mountain, helping all the weirdo foreigners climb all the mountains and stuff like myself. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so we're like back at the hostel, and like people come and go, and like, you know, we'll go off and like do some trekking or whatever. I'd like just like wander away and be like, I'm gonna go climb this. I'm gonna get out to this other village and climb up to the top of this Kali temple and look at Everest, which I did. It's like I go way out there, climb way up to the top of this temple, see Everest in the background, try to take a picture of myself with Everest in the background, and then all this mist like blows in, so it just looks like me in front of a blue screen. Just take my word, Everest is back there. They just Photoshop Everest back there.
Well, that's why I read like that a lot of times. Like Everest is actually hard to photograph from lower elevations because like so often like clouds and stuff and just obscures it, you can't see it.
Yeah, like all the time. It's super frustrating because then you leave and you're like, oh, there it is, son of a bitch. But it's like too far away to photograph. Like I took a picture of Everest from like pretty far away. It may as well be like a Sasquatch or something. Like just one of those like blurry, like people are like, I don't know, I kind of see it. And like, this is fake. That's just another cloud behind that cloud. Like, no, that's Everest. Like, it's a smudge on the lens. But yeah, like, so that's the thing that happened. But yeah, so I'm like hanging out in the hostel. And this one chick that was there locked herself out of her room, and I was like, oh shit, like I can't get into my room. Like my key is in that room, and like none of the staff that I've been talking to understand what I'm saying. Like I can't get in. I was like, do you want me to get you into your room? She's like,
I can kick the door down.
she's like, well, don't like rip the wall off or anything. And I was like, no, I can just open the door. She's like, what, do you have a key to my room? And I was like, kind of. And she's like, yeah, all right, open my door then. So like I pulled out my lock picks that I had with me and like picked the lock to her door. And she was like, thanks. You're a weird guy, Nash, but thanks. Like, yeah, you got it. Always contingency plans, bottle openers and knives and lockpicks. Which, by the way, when I was in India, like going into museums and stuff, like the security is so lax. Like I was like, I could take everything from this museum. Like I could just leave with all the stuff. Like everything's so lax.
So you walk with your. It's like, what? I came in with this.
I came in with this Ming vase. What, you don't remember this? I was the foreigner with the vase. We're like, oh yeah, that's okay. Like we took a selfie. Like,
I go everywhere with that.
Like, that's right. Like, look, we could take another selfie. Look, I would be happy to pay a fine for this vase if you don't remember. Here's 12 rupees. I will be leaving now. But yeah, so I picked the door open to her room, and then we went off and saw a movie, and then we went off. Me and her and another dude from the hostel went off to a super nice restaurant, a Nepali restaurant. Like it's one of those traditional. It's like a themed restaurant, so that it's like a condensation of traditional Nepali culture in this restaurant. So you go and it's like the traditional Nepalese dances and customs and stuff like that with their old traditional foods. I'm like, this is going to be nice. It's in an old mansion, like an old Nepali mansion. I'm like, this is going to be nice. Then we get in there, and yeah, it was nice. Way too nice. Like, everyone in there was dressed up, like, really nice, and we're just like, like, just wandered in off the street, like, clearly climbers and backpackers and, like, vagabonds. Just like, So we, like, sit at the table. It's, like, one of the floor tables, where you, like, sit on the floor. And, but, like, just, like, the cutlery and like the table spread was like too nice, and then the waiter comes out and they start off, they give you like a shot glass of like illegal traditional Nepali alcohol, which is technically illegal, but you can get it all kinds of places, but like that's what you have instead of water, so like that's just your base thing. And they come out and the menu is on a scroll, so they come out and they're like, from which section will you be dining first? Like, I don't see any prices on this scroll. And I have, like, vicious menu anxiety. So, like, we'll just select the items. And they kept, like, throwing it in my face. And I was like, just give it to the lady, please? Like, the lady, I'm authorizing the lady to make the decisions. Like, I know in your culture that it's, like, I know, but, like, I'll be the superior. She'll be my subordinate. You just give it to her. Of course, in reality, it would just be like she would be picking stuff. Because I can't be bothered looking at a menu. I'm overwhelmed with menus for some reason, food menus. Like, you saw me in the convenience store earlier. I was like, there's like so many options.
Too many
here.
choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did the same thing, but I already know what I was going to get, but I still have to stand there for like 5 minutes looking.
That's the thing, is like, I don't know what I'm going to get. So, like, I have to, like, evaluate all the choices. But if there's more than, like, 6 choices, then I'm going to be there till I die.
It's the problem I run to, because if it's a place I've been to before and I've eaten at before...
Yeah.
Because that's how I am the first time I go anywhere. I'm like, I could get this, I could get this, I could get that. I don't know. I don't know about how good is their thing of this. I've had it other places, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but then, like, once I usually go to a place, like, I very rarely get something different.
Right. And so that's the thing. Like, I always want to have, like, a new thing. But then I'm like, I don't want to miss the chance to experience a new thing.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, what if...
But what if it's not good?
What if it's not good? Then I've missed the chance to experience a thing I know I like. But I'm like, I'd rather err on the side of, like, a new experience. But so I'm just like, and then after some like talking to these people, we found out that it was like way out of our price range. But they did have an a la carte poor person's menu. So like, could you bring us the poor people menu, please? So we got the poor people menu, and we like made our selections that way. If you wanna know for scale, like how nice the place was. You know how some places like Western sort of Victorian style restaurants, you have like specific cutlery and places for your cutlery. So you have like your main plate, your salad plate, your meat fork, your salad fork, your whatever. This place, all the dishes, even the cups and everything was like a real heavy, polished golden brass. Like it felt weird eating off of it, like eating off of a coat of arms, like someone's coat of arms. Like it'd be like it felt like a misappropriation, like I was eating a bowl of cereal out of a knight's helmet or something. It was like, this is good. I don't think this is what this is for, though. But yeah, each plate had 7 spoons. 7 extremely nice spoons. I don't know what to do with 7 spoons.
Yeah.
I guess you got your salad spoon.
I mean, I can only think of like really like 3.
You got your
So you have your
back scratching
like,
spoon,
you have
obviously.
Your spoon for like soup,
right?
And then a spoon for a tea or something to like add sugar and
right.
stir.
Okay, yeah, you got your scoop.
And then you have maybe like a slightly smaller spoon compared to like the soup spoon for like other food. That's
all right. So you got 4 to go.
But I have no idea, because like, are they different sizes?
Yeah, they were different spoons.
Wow.
I don't know what to do with it. Like, I was way out of my element. I did take a picture. It's on my blog.
The only thing I can think of then is
that
they have spoons for like, well, this spoon is obviously for this one specific dish.
If you want to, I guess we don't need to look at it, but it's on my blog. It's a picture I took of
all the spoons. All
right, describe that to our listeners.
That's like a soupy spoon.
Is it?
So.
Yeah, because this is like cereal spoon.
That's basic.
Well, see, look, because like the spoon right next to it is basically the same thing, just a little bit smaller.
It is a little bit smaller.
And then you go one over that way, and that looks like the exact same as that spoon.
This spoon looks similar to this spoon, but it's definitely not identical.
Yeah, that spoon's like longer. Like the bowl is more oblong. Like these spoons look pretty much the same. Like I'm like a little bit smaller.
I like how you've got 7 spoons though, and 1 fork, 1 knife.
That's right.
You have no.
You don't want to be ridiculous. What are you going to do with more than 1 fork and more than 1 knife?
And it's a butter knife too.
It is a butter knife. That may as well be a tree branch. Like, what are you going to cut with it?
They might as well have just given you an 8th spoon.
Yeah, it's just.
Well, I mean, it's just a flat spoon. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. When you think about it, this is just a serrated, pointy spoon. That's the
end of the spoon.
Yeah.
That's what this one is.
That's the thing I'm looking at too. Like all the spoons have different like handles.
Yeah, they're clearly different spoons.
It would look like from different sets too, because these 3 look like a similar set of cutlery. Yet this one is like so thin in the middle with this little kind of ducktail going on, and this one's just flat cut, like just stamped.
Yeah, this one's like skinny and then fat. Yeah. This one.
So that one, these 2 look like they could be from the same set. These 3 from the same set, and then these 2 are just like, who knows?
This is your teaspoon, the one that's shaped like a ladle. It's like a liter bottle with a handle on it. And then you got your cereal spoon.
But it looks like you used all the spoons.
I was about to say that you used like several of them.
All for the same thing though. Like I was just like, I don't want these spoons to go to waste. Like, what are you gonna do?
Triple fisting spoons.
Well, there's a lot of tiny bowls, but one is for rice. And one's for curry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe that's why you get all the fucking spoons in.
Yeah, there were that many. There were 7 bowls.
You can dish out your stuff.
So maybe it's considered. Yeah, maybe it's supposed to be like you're supposed to use a different spoon for each container, so you don't cross contaminate or something. So that's why they give you so many.
Maybe, but what does every person need 7 spoons? We had 21 spoons on the table.
Well, so you don't have to share.
Yeah, that would be barbaric.
How about you have 1 spoon per dish to scoop that dish out so you don't cross-contaminate dishes, and then each person has 1 singular spoon to eat from.
I mean, that would make a lot more logical sense.
It would make some sense. Now Sound Guy Ben is just perusing around.
That is spooky, dude. Have you seen The Lost Highway?
No, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
That looks like the Mystery Man, that monkey, dude. Holy shit,
Sound Guy Ben is just looking through the Nepal pictures on my... Oh, wait.
Oh, they're standing.
Yeah, he's just looking at monkeys.
Oh, dude, that's spooky. I'd be freaking out. They're just walking around?
Yeah, there's monkeys everywhere.
Yeah.
That's spooky.
Just doing monkey stuff all the time. You know, trying to get you to buy their bracelets and driving you around in your workshops.
Looks like that one's throwing away some litter.
Yeah, that one's looking for a trash can. He's been holding that thing forever. There's no trash cans. Now, there are trash cans in Nepal, though, which is nice. But yeah, so let's see, what else did I do? Yeah, so we went to that place, did a lot of drinking, carrying on. I ran into a guy from France who was there doing some trekking and stuff, and he's actually going to be in South America at the same time as me. So I'm trying to press gang him into climbing this mountain in Patagonia with me. And then everyone at the hostel was like, don't go climb the mountain with this guy. Like, he's clearly crazy. And he's like, he seems all right. They're talking about me. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not crazy. It's totally fine. Everest is over here, by the way. So it's like right here.
It just looks like a smudge on the list.
Yeah, sure it is.
No, that's not the one with the smudge. Hang on.
That's just like a cloud. That's another cloud.
Hold on. If you scroll down, it's going to take too long. I'm just going to talk over this. This is the one with Everest in it.
Yeah.
That's Everest right here.
The little white speck.
Yeah.
What is this?
Oh yeah, I took a picture of a package of a lady winking because it's like the worst wink I've ever seen.
Yeah, it looks like she's not enjoying that chocolate bar.
No, she's not enjoying the chocolate. It
looks
like
it's like super bitter. It's like, ugh!
It looks like she unwrapped the chocolate bar and then she
had a stroke.
No,
induced by the chocolate.
Before she could take a bite, she misjudged and sneezed a little bit and then stabbed herself in the eyeball with the chocolate bar. So she was like, oh! But she's trying to look and see like what stabbed her, but the other eye. That's exactly really what's going on there.
That is super great.
100%.
Perk? Is that the name? Perk chocolate?
I don't know. It's extra chocolatey.
It's extra chocolatey though.
How does chocolate be extra chocolatey taste?
It's not extra. It is extra.
Ah, yes.
See.
That's how I like my 90s words written. Like, extreme!
I'm sure
like
there's
capital
a
X
in marketing.
TREME. I'm sure, yeah.
What you're, like, technically allowed to say.
That,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, yeah, because like, they probably couldn't get away with... Oh, I mean, they can, because there's no...
Drink.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, they can, but like, if you try to take it over... It's kind of like it can't be... You can't call it ice cream. It's got to be frozen dairy dessert if it doesn't meet a certain standard of being ice cream.
Or cheese.
Yes, or cheese. But yeah, what else went on? So yeah, I went up, I saw Everest, I trekked around, went to this place called the Garden of Dreams, which is alright, it's whatever, like it's a cool, like, fun reprieve from the city. Yeah, the Garden of Dreams. So like, this is the Garden of Dreams here, it's just a fun architectural place where you can go and like chill out, people go on dates here. Yeah. It's cool, you gotta pay an admission. Really nice. Yeah, you gotta pay an admission to get in, but it's a pittance, like, it's a nice just place to go to get away from Kathmandu. Just from the kind of the hustle and bustle and whatever. But the thing I thought was funny is that there is no gambling or card playing allowed in the Garden of Dreams, which is infamously how the place was built. The guy who built it gambled in a gambling, like a card game, and won all the money and built that place. And the person he won it from was his dad, who was the prime minister. So he was doing like illegal gambling with the prime minister and won, and then he built this thing. But no one's allowed to gamble inside. I just think it's a bit of irony. That's all.
It's a lot of birds.
That is a lot of pigeons. But yeah, so yeah, I went to the largest stupa in all of Asia. So I would think, therefore, the world. I can't imagine there would be a larger stupa outside of Asia. They're not like super common outside of Asia. So I would imagine, but I don't know for sure that there's a larger stupa outside of Asia. But I do know for sure it's the largest one in Asia, so possibly the world. But yeah, so I went off, saw Everest, did all that stuff. Then got back to Kathmandu on Christmas. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the internet cafe, and I'm gonna jump on the internet, and I'm just gonna like tell some people what I've been up to, because I haven't been on the internet since like before my buddy got to India. Like, I'm just gonna tell people. So I jump on the internet, and I get on. There's a little message for me, and it was like, hey, so you know how I got that base here, right? There's like a chick renting it out and everything. So I jump on, and there's a little message for me. He's like, hey, just letting you know, you've been robbed. We don't know how bad it is, but it's real bad. So that's waiting for you the next time you get here. And I was like, oh no. Because I was like, shit, like I have like treasures there, you know? Like, of course I have like stupid things like electronics. I have video games or whatever. Well, like, you know, I have like old antiques, like a World War II Japanese rifle that I inherited from my grandfather, and then like a couple hundred like antique knives that are like framed up and around and everything, and like antique foreign currencies and like different rarities and whatever, and then of course like the electronics or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, like I wonder how bad this is. So that bomb just got dropped on me on Christmas. So I'm like, oh shit, now I'm in a really bad mood, and I should probably start trying to get out of Nepal to like fix all this stuff. And then of course my flight out is out of India, so now I'm like, ugh, and I got this weight on my mind, and I have to go back to India to get out of here. So I'm like, well, I better begin this process. So I go to a travel.
To prepare myself, I just shat my hand and just wiped it all over me.
I just wiped it all over me. I was like, where's that underground pit fighting arena? Yeah, a lot of aggression to work out. And so I got this travel agent. I went to like 6 or 7 travel agents, and none of them would help me. They would help me get to the border, but they wouldn't help me with the Indian side of things. Like, I was like, I need to be on a train to get to Calcutta, to get out of India. And they're like, yep, sorry, can't help you. And I know that there's a website where you can buy tickets on the internet. So I think they just wouldn't help me because they wouldn't make any commission off of it, because they're travel agents. So I think they just didn't want to help me. So I was like, ugh. But, so they did get me that bus, though. This is the 18-hour bus that took me to the Nepal-India border. A different border than I entered into Nepal from. This guy assured me, he's like, yeah, there's definitely going to be a train there. You just get on. And I'm like, oh, okay. There better be.
They're building it now.
Yeah, they're building it now. By the time you get there, these buses are real bad. You're probably not even going to make it. You're going to die, but I'm going to take a lot of money before you die. But yeah, so I got on this 18-hour bus ride. So now I'm on this 18-hour bus ride, and that's when I saw like the bus drive off the mountain, and then the car like fall off the bridge. And so I'm alternating between like wondering if I'm going to die on here and then being furious at this burglary, because I've been robbed more times than anyone I've ever met. That was 5 times, the 5th time in my life, which is understandable to a point. When I lived in the ghetto and like everything's bad all the time, you're like, well, you know, I live in an area where this is a prevalent thing. But this house that I have is like in a really nice area. So I was like, what the damn it? And then I'm like, what about the chick who lives there? Like, what's going on? Like, was she like attacked, or like is she part of it? Was she gone and her stuff got stolen and now she's scared to be there, so she moved out? Because that's like one of my jobs, is taking care of this place. So like if nobody's renting it, like that's just another thing I've got to deal with. And I'm like, I've already got another expedition that's like very time sensitive, and I have to worry about this in between doing other things. So I'm worried about all that stuff. Just like, oh god. And then I'm just angry that I'm on this tiny bus. Like I don't fit on this bus. And then like 10 hours in, this Nepali guy gets on and sits next to me, and he actually speaks English, which is not super common. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to talk to this guy. But he turned out to be really nice. And so he's like, oh, what are you doing? What are you up to? Blah, blah, blah. And just regular stuff. But then after we passed all the I was like, oh, what do you do? Why is your English good? Like, you have really good English. What's good? Like, why? So we just exchanging the regular stuck next to a person on a bus pleasantries. And then he was like, so you're traveling, I guess, right? And I'm like, yeah, traveling. And he's like, you're traveling by yourself? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you said you travel a lot, right? And I'm like, yeah, I travel a lot. He's like, you always travel by yourself? I'm like, well, usually I do. I mean, I was with a couple weeks. I was with a buddy in India, but I mean, for the most part, yeah, I travel frequently by myself. And he's like, around like Christmas time? I'm like, yeah, Christmas time, travel by myself, pretty rad, right? Like that's pretty cool. And he's like, sounds like you have a life full of sadness. So, like, thanks, Nepali guy. You are not helping my emotional situation right now. Because, like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm awesome. Like, I'm traveling by myself around the world all the time, around holidays, and this guy's just like, yeah, your life is sad. Like, thanks for really putting things into perspective.
So, I guess you have no one to spend that time with that you care about?
Yeah, that's basically it. He really, like, recontextualized everything. Like, I told you about that guy who never saw Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, for those of you that didn't hear or don't remember, there was a guy on a ship that I was working on, and he's like, what's your deal? And we're joking around. I was like, yeah, I want to be Indiana Jones when I grow up. And he's like, yeah, I don't know anything about Indiana Jones. So he's like 25, he'd never seen any of the movies, so we watched them all. And by all, I mean 3. We watched the first 3.
The ones that matter.
The ones that matter. And so we watched them, and I'm like, yeah, what'd you think of that? And he's like, yeah, I thought you said Indiana Jones was like a super knowledgeable cultural badass who, like, he's like a treasure hunter, but he's also a professor. He's like super smart. He gets out of these situations. And I'm like, yeah, pretty cool, huh? He's like, Indiana Jones is an idiot. Like, he gets bamboozled all the time. Every movie starts with him making some bad decision. Yeah. Then he gets out because he's lucky. Like, the first one starts with him trying to steal that statue, but he misjudges the weight, and then the boulder comes down, and then he barely makes it out. But then he gets the statue stolen from him because the guy that he's trying to avoid found him, and then he barely makes it out of getting assassinated by all the natives, and then he gets over to wherever he's going, and then, like, he didn't matter because the Ark would have vaporized all the Nazis anyway. And then in the second one, he's trying to rip a guy off by selling him, like, a powdered mummy, but then he wants a diamond, but then he poisons himself because he gets poisoned, then he just barely makes it out anyway, and then he just, like, all the time is getting bamboozled and just barely escapes because he's lucky. He's like, you already are Indiana Jones. And I was like, oh. Like, he totally, because everything he said was right. Like, that is Indiana Jones. Like, he is a book-smart guy who does all these adventures, but he doesn't, like, use any of his intelligence to, like, navigate these situations. Like,
yeah, he basically just gets out through dumb luck.
Yeah, he just fumbles into and out of these amazing things. Like, he may as well be 1920s Captain Jack Sparrow. And I was just like, oh, man! Like, I thought it would be better to be Indiana Jones.
But on the one hand, you are Indiana Jones!
Yeah, like, I thought it would feel better to be Indiana Jones. So, yeah, so I'm like, yeah, I'm an awesome dude. I'm, like, traveling the world all the time, by myself during holidays and stuff. And he's just like, yeah, so you just have, like, no one that cares about you, that, like, I'm just like, yeah, I guess not. Here I am. So, thanks. Just gonna enjoy the rest of this. It's okay, I was starting to build a life there for a few years, but I just found out it also got stolen, so now I have literally nothing. Thanks! Just gonna be here wallowing in my downward spiral of pity and anger.
Thank you, stranger on the bus.
Don't mind me. Yeah, so that was a fun ride back. And then I could tell I was getting back to the Indian border, though, when things kept becoming progressively less relaxed. And then I knew I was close when we made a first of all, this bus made pit stops for, like, food and bathrooms. But then one time we made a pit stop and all these people got on and started yelling about the things they were selling. Like it was a very small bus, and 4 different people got on this very small bus yelling, and they were all selling the same thing. It was apples. It was just like, ah! It was like 12 rows on this bus, maybe, and, like, 4 people yelling about apples. Like, 4 different, non-related people. Like, no one wants your apples. It doesn't take 4 people to sell apples. If I didn't want the first 3 people's apples, I don't want your apples. Get out and you're loud. That's just like, oh, God. And then by the time I arrived at the border, it was closed. Because it was nighttime, like, really late at night. And I was like, oh, man. Now I'm going to have to stay here. I can't even get to the, like, no man's land because it was a different part that I entered from, so I was trying to leave Nepal instead of trying to leave India, so, like, the Nepali side was closed. So it's like, it means I have to stay in this town until morning. So I'm like wandering around trying to find a place to stay. Found a place that I could afford. It was like a dingy border town, so I found an equally dingy place to stay. And the guy was like, oh yeah, you can stay here for like, whatever, a couple $100 rupees. And I was like, all right, that's fine. So he's like giving me the tour of my room. And I'm like, yep, it's a room. But it was like a hotel-ish situation. So there's more than one room. It wasn't just like a guy's house with a room in it. It was like a building designed to house people that were in my situation. But so the room had 2 beds in it, that were like medium clean. It had windows, but they were just hole in the walls. Like they were holes in the wall. Like you couldn't close them. They were just like gaping holes. But it did have a toilet. Like, not even in the room, like a separate bathroom with a door and everything. So it's like, oh, that's cool, like a Western-style toilet. So this guy's, like, showing me the room. He's, like, really proud of me. He's like, here's the beds. Like, it's not a huge room. It's, like, the size of this room. So he's like, here's the beds. I'm like, yep, well, I see him. He's like, here's the TV that would work if it worked. I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that there is a broken 50-year-old TV here. That's cool. And he's like, this is the toilet. This is the bathroom toilet. And I'm like, okay. And then he takes off his shoes and goes into the bathroom, and he's like showing me the toilet, and I'm like, okay. And he's like, so this is where you'd like go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay. Then he shuts the door and just starts going to the bathroom. Like he just starts taking a fat shit like into my toilet. Like he's like, this is the toilet, and here's what you do to it. Like
he's demonstrating that.
Yeah, like I've seen a toilet before. I'm so tired. Like just get out of my room and let me go to bed. And he took a really long time. Like he was taking like a very leisurely shit in my toilet, and like I could hear him flushing like multiple times. Like it wasn't working out. Like it was just like, well, thank you for not leaving your shit in my room, but also get out. Like I've seen a toilet. It's midnight. Is this the only toilet? And you're gonna have to like knock on my room at 2 a.m. to come in and use my toilet? Like I was very very unhappy about that. Oh yeah, also like we talked about this last episode. The first place I stayed in Calcutta, that had the toilet that just like emptied out onto the floor, and then I like they knew I was gonna leave, so they gave me the suite, which was almost the same room except the toilet like the blasted its poop into the previous room instead of being in the same room. At one point in time, there was like this dude beating on the door for a while, and I was like, well, I'm not expecting anyone, so I'm not gonna answer that door. But then they were like, ah, and I was like, oh, it's probably like the owner of this place. So I open it up, and it's this guy's like, oh, I want to clean your room, and I was like, oh, it's fine, I don't want you here. And he's like, yeah, I want to clean the room. And I'm like, no, go away. He's like, I want to clean the room. He's like, I need to clean this room. You know, I got to sweep and everything. And I was like, it's as good as it's going to get, man. And he's like, oh, you know, it's just part of my job. Let me. I was like, fine. So I let him in. And I'm like sitting on the bed, which is, again, just 2 boards with stained blankets draped over it.
The toilet.
He didn't use the toilet. But after he like swept, quote unquote, the room, he wanted money from me for like cleaning the room. I didn't even want him in there to begin with. And so I was like, look, man, I don't have any money on me right now. Like, look, and I didn't. But I was like, I will pay you the next time I see you. And I spent the next 5 days avoiding this guy. Like, and he, at one point in time, like, it was the middle of the night, and he was beating on my door, trying to get in to, like, get this money. And I just didn't answer the door. And he was there for, like, 10 or 15 minutes, just knocking on the door, and I just wouldn't answer it. And this went on for like days, and I was like, nope, never again will I answer this door. One time it was the owner, because I hadn't like paid him for days at a time. I didn't pay him, and I was like, I'm not answering this door. Like, it's India. There's no rules. I don't have to answer the door. And if you come in, like, I'm allowed to hit you, because there's no rules. So, yeah,
You don't even have to come in. I'm just going to step outside and hit you.
Yeah, I'm just going to stop knocking on my door at 2 a.m. I'll pay you when I pay you. And I did pay the owner. I never paid the cleaning guy that I didn't want. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, leave me alone. So yeah, I had to stay in this border town with the terrible dude that like took a fat poop in my toilet to demonstrate how a toilet could handle a fat poop. And which I guess
it could be worse. You could have used the toilet, clogged it, and just be like,
well,
toilet's out of order.
That's right.
This is the plunger. It's how it works.
That's right. This is what a room is like with a big poop in it. Like, yeah, I already know that. Thank you.
This is my poop.
Yeah, but yeah, it was still technically in Nepal. So he had the like Hakuna Matata. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I don't know. Don't take a fat shit in my room. Yeah, but what are you going to do? Like, not shit in my room if I'm you. Or maybe I would, because I would be you. But if I was me, but in your situation, I probably wouldn't do this unless I didn't have another toilet. But yeah, so it's just one of those. So I was like, and then I had to get back to India, which I did. I got on the train, and I bought a medium price ticket, so it wasn't like the first one that was just like scam 35 hours of beggars and homeless people on the train. It wasn't like Mobile Calcutta, so I bought a medium price ticket and I bought the top bunk. So I just crawled on. I didn't have to deal with anybody. I just stayed up there for like the 15 hours it took to get to Calcutta. It was great. I got to avoid everybody. I avoided everybody except the guy who's taking dinner orders, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a dinner. I'm gonna splurge on some food. This is gonna be great. So like, I'm on a train, right? And I'm in a bunk. There's not enough room to like properly sit up, but you can lie down. But yeah, medium great. I mean, they give you like linens and blankets and pillows and stuff. Like, not bad. And I was up there. People were leaving me alone because it was like everyone there was just a normal person traveling. Like, they weren't like homeless or anything. They were just like regular middle class, upper middle class Indian people. And I thought the dinner the guy was going to bring me was going to be something that wasn't just the kiosk I avoided and already said no to on the way to the train. But it wasn't. So now I got to try to eat hot, greasy soup out of a paper sack while I'm lying in bed on a bumpy train. It's like, yep, welcome back to India. This is great. Everything's fine here. It's like,
good old soup in a sack.
Good old grease soup in a paper bag. While you're lying down in bed on a bumpy train.
So, like, talking about the trades, like, I was looking at, for a while, looking at you taking the Trans-Siberian Railroad.
Yeah.
And, like, that's one of the things they were talking about, like, say, like, if you get a bunk, if you want to keep it, never leave the bunk.
Do not leave that bunk. Yeah.
And they were saying, like, yeah, if you don't want to be bothered with people, get the top bunk.
Uh-huh.
And basically, yeah, like if you're taking it just to like you're trying to get from point A to point B, that's the way to go. If you aren't actually wanting to like sightsee or anything,
yeah,
they're like, well, then you probably want to pay more for one of the like nicer cars where you actually have like designated room. And,
right? Yeah, like a space that's actually yours.
Yeah, but yeah, they're like, if you're just trying to get from like one part of the one side of Russia to the other, essentially.
That's the way to go.
Get on the top bunk and then you just sleep the
whole
way. Yeah,
just hunker down. That's what I did. I was like A to B, climbing up here. Nobody talked to me. And it was grand. But yeah, that's what everyone always says. They're like, oh, if you travel around India, you gotta do a long distance train ride, man. That's part of the experience to really like soak up the culture. I took so many trains. I took a 35-hour train. I took a 24-hour train. I took like 2 15-hour trains. I'm square on Indian trains, and I took them in every conceivable class. I was a guy who bought a ticket for the stowaway class. I stowed away on the stowaway class. I stowed away in a cargo train. I paid for like an actual mid-range ticket. I got the one below the high-class ticket. So not the best, but I got like second best one time. And yeah, so I've experienced the breadth of Indian trains, so I'm square on my Indian trains. But yeah, I finally did make it back to Calcutta, and oh no, before I got on the train, I was waiting for my train to leave, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do some writing. I'm gonna find like a cafe or something, which of course wasn't a thing, but I was like, I'm gonna find somewhere to hunker down and just get a constant stream of tea and like really just write a few hours until the train gets here or whatever. And so I found this restaurant, which I use the word loosely. It was not a tent. It was a building, so we'll call it a restaurant. But I only had 2 criteria. Do you have tea? I'm sorry, 3 criteria. Do you have tea? Do you have a table I can sit at? Or a space to sit with something I can write on? And do you have a toilet? Because the tea's going to make me pee. And so question number 1, I was like, toilet, I have to pee right now. Because everyone's like screaming out, like, come to my restaurant, like touts and stuff. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just, no. And I saw this one, I was like, you guys have tea? And the guy's like, yeah, we have tea. I'm like, do you have a toilet? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So he leads me into the restaurant. I get a table. It's a pretty nice table. And I was like, hey, how about that toilet right now? And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So he leads me in the back. And a lot of the places have, like, some of them have toilets or, like, designated toileting areas. But they're always, like, through the kitchen. So, like, you have to go from normal customer place through where they make your food, and then you get to see, like, that process, and then you're like, I don't want to eat here. And then you get to the toilet place, and sometimes they're the same place. So you're just like, they're making my food in the toilet. Fantastic. But, yeah, so I went through, the guy led me through the kitchen. It was, like, a somewhat legit kitchen. It actually looked like an old English, like an 1800s blacksmithing area, except they were, like, smithing my food. Like, everything was, like...
Interesting.
Everything was jet black with, like, carbonization from things being burnt. Like, just everything was black.
So they're using, like, wood stoves?
Yeah. Well, they weren't even stoves. They were just, like, open fires inside. So they just had, like...
So just all the soot buildup?
Yeah, they just had shit they were burning, like, in piles on the ground. And then they had, like, I don't know, like a wok that they would just, like, hold over the fire, and then someone would be, like, making the food in the wok. I'm like, there's probably a better way to go about this, but whatever. I'm not here to revolutionize everything. I just show me to your toilet. And so they go, take me through there, and they take me to a thing that looks kind of like a closet. It's, kind of like a bathroom stall. It's like got like a wooden door or whatever, like a closet. They open it up. I go in, and it's just like an empty. Like, there's no drain. There was no toilet. There was no drain or anything. Like, it was just, like, a cupboard to go to the bathroom in. And so I just pissed everywhere, and then I left. But there was, like, no drain or anything. So, like, now the closet...
Well, they just shovel it out once a week.
Yeah, now the pantry is just full of my piss. But I was just thinking, like, what if I had to take a giant poop? Like, it's just going to be a big poop. Like, right in there. And, like... Do they have someone to, like, scoop the poop out every now and again? Or, like...
As I say, like, once a week, they have someone with a shovel come in and just kind of scoop everything into a bucket. And
so I have two theories.
Throw it out in the street.
I have two theories on this. Theory one, because there was no moisture in there when I got in, before I pissed everywhere. But there were people working in there. So here's my two theories. Theory one, nobody had gone to the bathroom yet. And they do have someone that comes in and cleans every now and again. Which... I find very unlikely. People don't clean that way in India very often.
Yeah.
Theory 2. Everyone just shits outside like normal and pisses everywhere like normal, and they didn't actually have a bathroom. And the guy knew that was one of my criteria.
Bathroom.
Yeah. The guy knew that was one of my criteria, because that's a famous Indian thing. Like, whatever you ask for, they're like, yeah, we got it. And then once they lure you in, they just, like, scramble to get whatever it is. Yeah. Because the other thing I wanted was tea. And they're like, yeah, we got tea. And then I was like, yeah, could I have a tea, please? The guy's like, yeah, no problem. And then he left and went to a different restaurant and got some tea and then brought it back to me. And,
So that's like the world of IT outsourcing in India.
That's a little, like, I mean...
Promise everything, deliver nothing.
They delivered. I mean, they gave me a place to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, in that case, they delivered. But but deliver the... loosest interpretation of what you're
Here's what I'm
for.
wondering, though. Like, since that likely wasn't their actual bathroom, like, did they just, like, send a guy out there real quick to, like, empty the closet out, and now it's full of my piss? Because now what happens to their closet? It's just full of my piss. Or my poop, if I'd have pooped in there. Like, then they have to deal with the fallout of that. And then, like, I wanted another tea after my first tea, so I ordered another tea. The guy left, came back, he's like, sorry, that other restaurant's closed. Like, I can't get you any more tea. So I was like, okay, fair enough. But I did have that table, so that was a thing. Like, the guy wasn't lying, per se.
I mean, the bathroom is kind of, like, shady, but, I mean, I admire the ingenuity is not the correct word, but the gung-ho, go get them.
The gumption?
I'll fucking do it, dude.
That's what,
I admire
but that's like,
you
that's
come
like...
sit in our store, you give me money, and I'll go buy you tea.
Yeah, that's basically like, that's how most of India functions, though. So on the one hand, you're like, well, this is not a very efficient system. But on the other hand, you're like, it's basically like everyone is selling everything because everyone needs money by any means necessary. So they're just like, what do you need? I'll go get it. Yeah. Like, well, what are you selling? Like, I'm selling whatever you need, man. Like, what? You're talking to me. Don't you worry about whatever it is I have. I've got all the things that you need. What do you need? I'm going to write it all down, and then I'm going to leave. Except I'm not going to write it down, so the stuff I come back with is oftentimes not what you asked for. But don't you worry about that.
Why'd you give me a goat? You wanted tea.
That's right. I thought you said goat. Well, I didn't. Well, you paid for this goat, so cheers.
Indian tea kind of sounds like goat.
Like, but I want my money back? They're like, come on, you. Like, what about my change? I'll be right back with your change. Just comes back with 3 more goats. Like, damn it! I'm never gonna get these through customs!
So now she mentioned the cooking thing, though. I remembered, so apparently most homes in India, their source for their fuel for cooking and heating is
cow poop.
Cow poop.
Yeah.
That basically that they like press out all the
and you
like
see
moisture from.
Yeah, you see them everywhere. They're
and
stacked up all over the place.
Like little pancake like briquettes.
Yeah, the chips, cow chips. Yeah, they're a very efficient fuel source.
Yeah,
actually.
But I was just wondering, like, when you said, like, they were cooking your food back there, it was like, what was it, like, wood? And I was like, are they burning the cow dung?
I think, there probably was a lot of cow shit in there, too, which I don't care about, actually, to be honest, because...
if you're just burning it...
It's a very efficient fuel source, and the air is already unbreathable, and full of actual toxins from them burning, like, styrofoam cups and tires. So, like, burning cow poop is the least of your problems. Like, I had to step over a dying person to, like, get in there with, like, slip-sliding on diarrhea all the time. And you're like, oh, you're burning dry cow poop? That is A-okay. Yeah, that is A-okay with me. We don't have any problems here at all. So, yeah, I got some writing done, had some food, got on the train, went to Calcutta. I'm like, man, I cannot wait to get out of here. Like, I'm excited to go see a paved road. And I'm excited to use an actual toilet. Like, I've never been so excited to go to North America in my entire life. Like, this is like the first time I've ever been excited. It's just like, don't get me wrong, like I said, I had a super good time in Nepal. And I had a blast in India, all things considered. But it's just like, it does, like water on a rock, like little by little. Because, like, I didn't mention it too much, but, like, there's just beggars and stuff everywhere. And, like, you know... Kids dying in the street, like, literally all the time. And you're just like, like, little by little, like, you know, over a month of that, 2 months of that, you're like, I would like a break, please. But yeah, so, let's see. What was it? I took how long was the flight? It took, like, a 6-hour flight to change over in Abu Dhabi, and then took, like, a 13-hour flight. That one was rough, because it was full of Indian kids, and they were screaming and running around and building, like, big piles of garbage. So it was like a flying Calcutta train for 13 hours. It was very obnoxious. I felt bad for the crew. Like, also all the passengers, of which I was one of them. Because everyone was just like, yeah, we paid, like, a lot of money for this, and now there's just, like, shithole Indian kids wrecking our ambiance. Like, I am trying to watch... I don't know, what's something that's not important. Or
Despicable Me 3.
That's right, I'm trying to watch Despicable Me. I'm trying to watch Kung Fu Panda 3. I don't want to have to deal with your kids running around. Just strap them in and knock them out. More wine, please, for me and then them. But yeah, so that was rough. And then I got to JFK Airport in New York, where I had a 30-hour layover. 30. Wow. At a 30-hour layover after... Here was the sequence of events. I was so tired.
Did you get in during the snow?
The snowpocalypse. I did. Yeah, I got in during the bomb hurricane or whatever that was.
Yeah.
It's just like, why is everything broken everywhere I go? Everything's madness all the time. But like, I had was the bus? Okay, I had an 18-hour bus ride where I watched people die. That led directly into a 13-hour train ride. That led directly into a 6-hour flight that led into a 13-hour flight. I was so tired and angry, and it was cold and everything was broken. I can think
of worse places to be stuck than the JFK airport, though.
Yeah, I just found a heating grate and curled up on it like a stray dog and went to sleep. I slept for like 12 hours on this heating grate. Like, I was so tired. And then I got, what was it? Dunkin' Donuts? What's the other donut place?
I mean, Dunkin's the big one in New York. There's like
A Krispy Kreme is the other one.
Daylight.
Yeah, it was Dunkin' Donuts because like I hadn't had a donut in like 10 years. Like a proper donut. Like I've had pastries places, but I never had I haven't had like a proper donut in like a decade. And like I landed and I was like, paved road, pooping in a toilet, I'm eating a donut. Like I was just like, one of your donuts, please. And it like Dunkin' Donuts was the only thing that was open in the terminal I was in. So I was there for 30 hours. I ate there like 4 times. So I had like a donut, and then I was like, 1 vegetable egg sandwich, please. And every time I went back,
Get the big and toasted.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds amazing.
It's like Texas toast with eggs and bacon.
Oh no, that was the thing. No meat, because I'd been in India. I hadn't had meat since Thanksgiving, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep this running until like another significant thing happens. So I'm gonna go from Thanksgiving to whatever. So that whatever was the like reunion between me and some of my buddies, where I was like, I will have some bacon now. But up until then, I was just like, I'll just have eggs, and like I was eating like eggs and dairy and stuff, but just no proper meat. So I was like, yeah, why not? But just a fun thing to do. I've decided that I think for 40 days out of every year, I'm gonna go meatless. Not because I enjoy it, although it is nice to give your body time to sort of like defrag. But it's one of those like give your digestive system kind of a break, and then also like it is better for the environment if you cool off the meat. I mean, I'm not like a vegetarian, vegan kind of guy, but I am environmentally conscious. So like, you know, just as a sort of self-sacrifice kind of thing. And also, it's probably better if you don't eat so much meat. So, like, 40 days out of the year. So I was, like, doing the math, and I was like, all right, met my quota for this year.
It's actually the reason why I consciously try to eat less beef.
Yeah.
Because beef is...
What's for dinner?
Huge environmental impact as far as, like, the factory farm industry.
Yeah, that's true.
Compared to, say, chicken, which still isn't great, but it's, like... a fifth.
Yeah. I just don't like the whole like you're born and raised in captivity to be slaughtered and eaten. Like I don't have a problem. If something would dare take a breath, I would dare eat it. I just want it to live a free life until I murder it. Until I prematurely end its promising life to its entire rest of its life to extend my life by 1 extra day. Like I just want it to have like an okay existence before I do that. That's all. But yeah, because like you can follow that rabbit hole forever. So like you're like, okay, well I'm gonna ease. So like you and I are like, well we'll ease back on the meat sometimes to help the environment, you know. And then I'm like, well I'll eat anyone as long as they're a free range person. But then I'm like, I don't want any of these cooped up people. But then some people were like, well I'm not gonna eat animals at all. It's just gonna be like eggs and meat and fish and stuff like that. And like, oh well, these fish weren't free range, so I'm not gonna eat them, or like whatever. I'm damaging the ocean, so no fish. Like I'm just gonna eat eggs and cheese and stuff. And like, but these cows are still in captivity, so I'm just gonna go full vegan. I'm gonna go vegan. But you can follow it farther than that because you've got Jainism, which is you don't eat anything, any root vegetables.
Why would you do that?
Because. And they're not wrong on this, but like when you pull out like a beet or whatever out of the ground, that's actually home to like tens of thousands of that's a biome for like tiny bugs and
insects.
Yeah, it's a biome for like tiny insects and microbes and bacteria and stuff. So you don't pull anything out of the ground either. So you only...
That's taking it, like, I feel like way too far. Because there's a difference between, like, no human is actually required any animal products to live and survive, but it's different between, like, saying, well, you're not going to kill anything. You're killing a plant. You're still killing a plant regardless. You have to eat a plant.
Not if you take the fruit and the leaves, then the plant is fine.
Okay.
Then you haven't killed the plant.
Yeah, you use like apples. That apple tree's fine.
There's still bacteria though everywhere. You're like eating bacteria.
But
you're taking food away from insects that would have eaten those apples that fell on the ground.
You're taking some kind of energy and transferring it to you. That that energy should have existed. Yeah, maybe that grape would have fell on the ground and been home to a biome of other shit.
And it's not about stuff that could have been. It's about stuff that already is. So by virtue of the root vegetables already existing, they can't exist without that biome existing. So, like, no matter what, that's a thing. But, like, if you're eating, like, an apple that fell on the ground, like, it might one day be home to a colony of bees or whatever, but it's not yet, so you can eat it. And it fell off the tree, so you're not taking it. And if you're taking the leaves, then the plant is still free to grow. So you haven't murdered the plant. You've just taken some of it, and then the biome underneath is safe. And they live fine. Like, the people who eat that way
so
live fine
just
enough.
Eat lizards. Just eat lizard tails because they grow back.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, like, but then you're causing pain to another living creature.
But there could be arguments that you'd be causing pain to a tree.
Exactly. Well,
taking its leaves.
But not if the leaves have fallen.
If the leaves have fallen.
Well, you cannot cause pain to a plant.
Of course you can.
I think that can be argued.
Can't.
Yeah, that can actually be argued.
No,
it definitely can.
They do.
They don't
react.
have like a neural network going on. They can't feel shit. They don't think anything.
They actually.
They don't have a brain.
They are reciprocal to their environment, though, and responsive to their environment. And actually, I was just talking to an arborist.
But they don't have any level of consciousness.
They don't have a consciousness.
Define consciousness.
Define consciousness. Yeah.
That's hard to do. But I mean, you could. If you want to get animal or bug or anything, and you could say that that's conscious, and you compare it to a still thing. You know what I mean?
Stillness does not equate to a lack of awareness, and they're not still.
It doesn't even make any sounds.
They're just very slow.
It doesn't have to.
They make sounds.
They creak.
Dude, it's a plant, bro.
They actually make sounds. Like of the like water and stuff moving through.
Yeah, they have a circulatory system.
Yeah,
and they grow. And if you want to really take it down the quantum physics rabbit hole, consciousness is nothing but reactions between electrical signals. It's debatable that like stars, like the galaxy itself, could be a large neural network.
So we could be in a brain.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
That would respond exactly. That would respond exactly the same way as your brain, but on a cosmic scale.
So, like any cartoon where they go inside someone's brain and there's like 100 of their, cells, and they're wandering around like looking for shit.
Yeah, that's
like true.
On a certain level,
massive scale.
That's on a massive scale. Like your consciousness may or may not exist. Like you could have a consciousness independent of a physical structure. Because it's just the exchange of those interactions. Yeah. So like depending on how deep down the rabbit hole you go, the Earth debatably has a consciousness, and trees could as well, or nothing does because it's all part of one giant system. In the same way that like most of your own body isn't made of your independent cells. It's composed of bacteria that live within your body that regulate your functions. In fact, your individual cells aren't even themselves, because the mitochondria that make energy for your cells that are inside of your cells actually have separate DNA from your cells that they are inside that are responsible for producing the energy for those cells. So a long time ago, they were two separate beings that decided that they functioned better by joining together. So the mitochondria produce energy, and the cell needs energy to be, so they fuse together. But the mitochondria live inside of your regular cells. In fact, your DNA is passed down separately. So like you can do DNA testing. The mitochondrial DNA, I believe, is on the mother's side. So you can test that, and then your other DNA is traceable in a different direction.
Which is why the whole like referred to as like mitochondrial Eve, since it's passed down the mother's side.
Right.
So when they talk about like mitochondrial Eve, they're talking about like the point of the DNA in the mitochondria
origination,
that we're, like Homo sapiens.
Right. Yeah. And so by that regard, you could say that you're no more conscious on the Earth as a whole than the bacteria are within your own body, because you're all performing this specific function to regulate the greater whole, which in this case would be the Earth. And the Earth could be the bacterial equivalent to the galaxy as a whole, and it just keeps going forward and backwards in every direction, almost infinitely. So, if you want to really argue,
so when you get to a far enough point back,
right?
At least where what I would say when you get to a far enough point back is just like go completely nihilistic with it then.
Yeah, you
so
could.
It doesn't really, nothing's really gonna
then
matter because it doesn't.
And that's the point, really and that's the philosophy of nihilism.
Yeah,
that none of this matters.
Yeah, and you're not wrong.
So you can't prove otherwise.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Nothing matters, but everything has a reaction to the previous reaction, which would be a consequence. So everything has a consequence.
Yeah.
Good and bad are social constructs, but every action has a reaction to that action, including thoughts. Your brain is self-reciprocating, so like you create your own reality within your mind,
Right.
which is why if you leave your brain alone long enough, it'll really mess you up. You gotta put a leash on that thing.
Hey, leave your brain alone.
It'll get out of control, man.
You just like sit in a
spiral
cell?
down. No, you just idle thoughts.
Oh.
Like you gotta guide that thing where you want it to go.
If you're occupying your mind with something,
Yeah.
and you just let it
You know, I
do
don't,
whatever.
I don't know.
Just sit there and you do nothing, and your brain's just like thinking about shit.
Which is good.
That's when people go crazy in isolation.
Yeah, which is good to equalize, but once you've already equalized, so it's good to let your brain decompress, which is when you want no external stimulus, so it returns back to its neutral state. But once it's at its neutral state and it has no new stimulus, then it starts creating its own stimuli, and that's when it gets dangerous.
So I really, like, I have never... There's been one time that I can think that I've, like, actually sat and just thought about stuff without having some kind of a thing. Like, I'm usually watching a thing or looking at a thing or reading a thing or something or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like when I first moved in here and I had no internet and I didn't set my computer up or anything.
Yeah.
And I was
You're just sitting on the floor staring into the darkness.
Basically, yeah, I was just laying on the floor, and I remember thinking like I was trying to like think of what I could do. And I had the thought of like, is this what it was like in like the 1900s, like before there was like electricity or the internet? Or
Yeah, why do you think great things were ever conceived? Because there was nothing to do but conceive great things or intentionally squander everything, and there was no distractions. So you're just like, what am I gonna do? Build a pyramid, I guess. Ah!
Well, nothing to do. I guess we'll go to war.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. Like, I just gotta do something. Yeah. So, I mean, to come back to the original point, you could argue that trees have a form of consciousness that is not identical to what a human would say. Like, it's not a human consciousness, but it would be a consciousness.
I still wouldn't argue that. I understand.
I don't. Yeah. Well, I mean, you wouldn't, but if you delved further into the research on the topic, you might change your tune.
I mean, there's been research done on sound stimuli with plants.
Yeah.
They're like.
Do you know they taught goldfish to recognize classical music?
Yeah.
Like to differentiate between music.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you receive input?
Over time, you play music for them, and then I believe the experiment was you played them certain selections of classical music, and then if they identified the correct selection, they would touch like a wire or something, and then they would get food. So you just repeated that for like 100 days, and then eventually they understood that if this classical song played and they recognized it and they touched the wire without doing anything else, then they would get food. But if it was the wrong song and they touched the wire, then they wouldn't get anything.
Did they continue that, like, because I'm curious, like, what would happen if they touched the correct wire but then they were given no food?
Yeah, I don't know.
Then, you know, like, would they just start poking other shit, or would they keep going back to that one? Because I'm kind of curious, like, if they just did nothing at that point.
I don't know. I mean, think about what a person would do. Like, you'd probably start to doubt the connection between those two things. You'd be like, oh shit, was this a fluke? What am I missing here?
Well, I'd be curious to see, because, like, if they went back and then, like, after a few moments, they did the same one again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, it was that one, dog.
I don't know, because at that point, I don't think fish are stupid enough to have faith. That's when you're like, well, I touched it this time, it didn't work, but this next time, this is the time. Yeah, I don't think they're stupid enough for that. So, but yeah, that's a thing. So I mean, if fish can learn, then why wouldn't they have a consciousness?
I think they do.
Okay, well, some people say they don't, and that's why they don't eat meat, quote unquote, but they eat fish, because fish don't feel pain and don't have a consciousness.
No, that's complete. It's
and
like
they
the people
definitely do.
That don't eat that just won't eat chicken, or well, they will eat chicken, but they won't eat anything else. It's like, well, but if your reason is ethical and the fact that it's an animal and has consciousness, then you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
Or
you can't,
or it could
with
just be
fish or chicken or
it could just be
whatever,
the
you can't-
ethics of them being cooped up because they rip their beaks off so that they can't murder each other, and then they stuff them into a bunch of boxes. Like maybe that's just like I only eat chicken or don't eat chicken because of this, but I'll eat a cow.
And
or whatever.
there's also people that are vegetarian that ethically will not eat any animals, maybe even fish included, but will still drink milk. And to drink milk, you're supporting the veal industry because they have to be impregnated for the cows to actually produce milk.
I don't think so anymore.
They do. Well, unless they genetically engineered some fucking cow.
Because you can...
That's like a crazy cow. Like a dairy cow is a mother cow that gave birth to a calf and has to produce milk for it.
Yeah, it's easier to milk a cow that's been pregnant, but you can induce lactation in things that haven't ever been pregnant before.
Okay. That's a fair point. There's still abuse that could... Even if that was the case and they genetically engineered some cow, there's still the crazy amount of...
Oh, you could just take a regular cow or human... and make them lactate with no drugs or anything.
Yeah,
just
and that's that should be less weird to drink human milk.
Yeah, should be.
What I mean?
Yeah,
I would think either is disgusting. But
yeah, I was about to say.
As far as I know, humans are the only thing that drink milk of other species.
Yeah,
as
nasty.
far as I know, I'm not on the
outside
authority.
of like some kind of crazy outlier. Like
yeah, I was about to say. As far as I'm sure, there's some like southwestern Australian animal that like. Only drinks the milk of other animals somehow. I'm sure that's a thing. Or like a Papua New Guinea or like a Brazilian rainforest, some kind of outlier animal. But yeah, as far as I know, humans are the only animal. Whatever, who cares? I don't care.
Soy milk is fantastic.
I enjoy all milks.
Yeah. I mind soy milk.
You like ice cream?
No, I mean I guess it's tasty, but I just don't like eat like a whole lot. Like if I have like milk or something, I have like soy. Like I'll buy a soy milk,
right,
versus a milk,
right.
I will like have like a chocolate.
Chocolate what? Oh, like
a chocolate. You know, like a chocolate bar or whatever.
Yeah. But if you have dark chocolate, like 100% dark chocolate, you don't even need milk.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, and that's very tasty.
Yeah, that's the only kind of chocolate I eat. It's the only kind of chocolate I eat. I'm a chocolate snob. Dark chocolate.
I like dark chocolate, but I like milk chocolate every now.
I want my chocolate to taste like tree bark. I want 100% cacao, no sugar.
That's too much.
I love it. I want to be like I'm doing a line of coke, like I'm chewing up.
About 85% is my my tolerance level.
I cannot get enough. Yeah, I want my chocolate to taste like a rough shoe.
It's too bitter.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, which is weird because I hate IPAs typically because they're bitter and gross and like thick. But like, what I hate in IPA is what I love in chocolate. So I don't know. But yeah. So anyway, I made it out. I got back to the house, and it was bad news, man. They broke in, like broken glass everywhere. They stole all my weapons. So like my hundreds of ancient knives. They stole my World War II Japanese rifle I inherited from my grandfather. They stole all my antique foreign currencies and everything. They left everything of street value. They left the TV, which doesn't get any stations, but I mean it's a nice TV that plays DVDs and stuff. But like video games. They left a bag of United States currency. They left everything of actual like street value, but they only stole like rare artifacts and stuff. Which leads me to believe that I wasn't burgled. I think it was a heist. I think it was someone who knew me and knew I was gone and, like, targeted a specific item and time.
That definitely sounds like it. If they left a bag of, like, U.S. money.
Yeah, they left a bag of U.S. money, but they took, like, ancient currencies and, like, inherited artifacts and stuff like that, plus stuff I'd been, like, hoarding. So, yeah, super depressing. So then I had to... Oh, yeah, and then the chick who lives there, she still lives there, but she also got burgled, because, you know, same house. They like rifled through her sex toys and like I think maybe stole some of her sex toys and then like stole like incense and candles and stuff. And she had 3 laptops. They stole one of the 3 laptops.
Why would they take her laptop but they wouldn't take your television or your game station?
I don't know. In this closet I had a small crappy TV. They stole that. Like an old small crappy
one of the
TV.
Ones with the VHS built in.
No, not quite that old and crappy, but like it was a flat screen, but like small, like the size of this monitor.
Okay.
But like just old, like definitely not 1080p or anything like that. Right. But like just real suspicious. The whole thing was super suspicious. Yeah. So I was like, shit. Now I have to like deal with the fallout of all of this
Did you call? I mean, if you haven't, you should call like pawn shops and shit.
Oh
like
yeah,
that and
yeah.
let 'em
You better believe it.
know,
Yeah, one of my buddies who is.
Well, yeah, because like a lot of that stuff I would assume would be pretty easily identifiable.
Yeah.
Yes, visually, but like there's no serial numbers or anything for them, so like I would
Well,
just
if
have to
you've
be
got,
like.
pictures and shit.
I
mean,
don't.
you-
I have pictures of like very few of the items, but like not the majority of the stuff. So I was just like, shit. So yeah, that was super depressing. But now, like, I'm like fortifying the entire place. And my one buddy was like, "Man, I can't believe this place isn't like covered in Indiana Jones booby traps." Which one is super illegal, by the way.
Yeah.
to booby trap your own home.
To booby trap your own home is super illegal. And if someone breaks in and gets shot by an arrow or something and they don't
You're
die,
liable.
you're going to jail. I know, it's bullshit.
That's
It's bullshit.
so
If I come in and someone's been shot by an arrow and they're not dead, I'm putting them down.
But isn't this one of the states where it's legal if somebody comes into your home, you can like shoot and kill them?
Yeah, you can kill them, but you can't booby trap
kill
them.
them with a booby trap.
Correct. Oh, no. You can kill them with a booby trap. You just have to make it look like it wasn't booby trapped. If they get hurt by a booby trap but they don't die, you're going to jail.
That is so. It seems like it would be.
You have to
booby
kill.
trap would be legal, but
You
it would
have-
be illegal to kill them.
You have to kill whoever breaks into your house. If you shoot them and don't... I've had police tell me this. Like, if you shoot somebody in your home, make sure they're dead. Just make sure you kill them.
That would be like you'd be going to jail for that. Because like, what if you shoot them in the chest and then you have to like walk over them and shoot them in the face? And
Self-defense.
but there's like a powder burn like 3 feet away
Right,
from their head.
self-defense. You're still concerned. Maybe they're wearing a bulletproof vest or
It's
something.
like I don't know
So you had to
if
fucking
Indiana
double
falls.
tap.
Yeah, I double tap. I will double tap everybody. I had someone tell me that if you're in a parking lot and someone's stealing your car and you shoot them, make sure they're dead.
Jeez.
And that was a policeman. I've had multiple cops tell me this. Or if someone's robbing you and you shoot them and they leave your property and then they die, drag them back onto your property.
Oh, fuck.
Like, I have had policemen tell me this before. And so I'm like, yeah, you got it, man. And so my buddy's like, yeah, I can't believe it's not an Indiana Jones style thing of booby traps. And I was like, well, one, that's illegal, but I've never really cared what the law was anyway. And two, the only reason it's not rife with booby traps is because I have renters living
you have
there.
someone else living
and
there.
like someone's like, I'm gonna go do my laundry, and then they get hit with like a poison dart arrow. It's like, well, I got 3 hours until I'm dead. Like, yeah, sorry about that. I thought you were a burglar. Like, yeah, so that's the only reason. But now there's like a super high tech security system, and I'm getting like razor wire, and I'm reinforcing all the doors and stuff. Like, I'm going all in.
Did you not have renter's insurance?
No, I don't
You
have.
should
I don't have any.
probably
I don't have
gotten
any
that.
insurance.
I mean, I know it
At
wouldn't
all.
cover the like.
It wouldn't
You know,
cover,
I know
like-
that like your things are probably
Also, any
more like valuable than whatever money.
Yes.
But at
Any-
least you would have money. if they gave you.
anytime I've had renter's insurance, the tiers are such that like the one I could afford was like, you know, you're insured for like $2,000 worth of regular stuff. You're insured like your electronics and stuff are insured. But if you have like actual artifacts, you can't have renter's insurance. You need like artifact insurance,
Oh, okay.
and it's like
A lot
out of
more
my price
expensive.
range.
Okay.
Like it's I can't afford to have insured those
Yeah,
things.
like a regular renter's insurance policy isn't going to cover.
It doesn't
your-
cover like rarities.
Yeah.
I did not
Like,
realize
they stole my ancient, like, painting from Van Gogh. They're like, yeah, you're not covered. Like, they stole my DVD player. They're like, you can get a new DVD player. I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. Like, what about... That's a thing, though. They didn't steal my DVD player. Super weird. Like, they didn't
Yeah.
steal any of the electronics. They're just sitting out. But it's not like they were in a rush. Like, they tore the whole place upside down. They were, like,
Still
looking...
hundreds of knives. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
you would
were
think.
they were looking for, like... Because I'm the type of guy that, like, hides stuff in walls and stuff. And they were, like... They, like, emptied out all my drawers to, like, make sure there weren't, like, false bottoms to my underwear drawer. Make sure I didn't have more knives in my underwear drawer. Here's the other thing, too. I had a drawer... So I had, like, 100 knives on display. And then I had a drawer full of, like, another 100 knives. They were, like... So the ones that were on display were, like, rare, which they stole. And then one of my buddies was like, maybe they stole them because they thought they were worth a lot because they were, like, on display. I'm like, all right, that's fair. But they went through, and the other drawer that was full of like another 100 knives was like utility knives for like actually doing things. They stole those too, but also in there were like so he's like, oh, well, maybe they stole them for like committing more crimes.
I'm
like,
okay.
okay.
That just really like stabbing people, and he's like,
But-
jackpot.
Right. So then I was like, maybe that's the thing. But now I'm thinking it was someone with the mind of a child or the maturity level of a child. Because aside from like the sex toy thing and like incense and candles and whatever, they also stole 2 or 3 pairs of nunchucks and a pair of sais, but they left behind like a whip chain and a pair of commas. It's like a handle with a blade on the end of it. You use it for it's like a small
sickle.
Like a small sickle. And they stole like a pair of expensive tonfas, which is like a piece of wood with a handle on it. This way,
oh,
like a police baton, yeah. So they stole a couple of expensive pairs of that. But yeah, they stole a couple of nunchucks. Those have no value in self-defense or street value. So the only reason to have stolen those, because they were like in with some other stuff that they didn't steal. So the only reason to go out of their way to steal those was if someone was like, "Oh, these are cool."
Right.
And like that's not like a burglar. You don't steal something because it's cool. You steal something because it's practical. Because you can either resell it or use it for future crimes or whatever. Right. So you can't use that for burglaring other people. You can't use it for fighting. You can't use it for self-defense. You can't make any money with it. So that must mean they stole it solely based on the fact that they wanted nunchucks, which means mind or maturity level of a child. So it's just like, okay, so I'm like narrowing down everything, and I'm just like, oh my god, like if I catch anyone with these things, there will be nothing left of them except enough to braid into my hair. That will be all that anyone finds. And of course there was a police report that was filed, and they were basically, and I expected this, they were basically like, yeah, we don't care. We don't have time for this. You're never going to see your stuff again. Nobody died. This isn't important. And yeah, because there's like 200 homicides an hour here, and there's like 4 cops. Like, they're spread super thin. Nobody died, and they're probably not gonna die. Now, of course, if they use all these knives to go on, like, a mass... Like, I feel like I got robbed by the Foot Clan, or, like, the Ninja Turtles. Like, what the hell? Like size and...
What is, like, 1 or 2 people going to do with all these knives?
Yeah, and nunchucks and then commas and stuff like that. Obviously, there's the Foot Clan. Like, a ninja clan is gonna... Or it's gonna be, like, West Side Story. Yeah, it's like the intro to the 1990s Turtles movie.
Maybe they will put them on display... And maybe if you're like just like, or maybe they'll try to resell them on Craigslist. Hey, you should check Craigslist and shit. And like, if you find something promising, meet those motherfuckers and then fucking kick their ass in a back alley. Or something.
You better believe it.
But maybe they'll post pictures on social media. So
occasionally
search Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye out
about knives and shit.
I've been keeping an eye out. You better believe it. But yeah, it's just like, son of a bitch. And then my one buddy was like, hey man, don't forget we still have to go to this gorge in Kentucky. To like field test your winter gear for this mountain in Patagonia. And I was like, oh shit. So like I got back, had to start dealing with all this stuff, but then I had to immediately take off to Kentucky for like quite a few days to test all this gear. Successful test, by the way. And then I had to get back and like start dealing with all this stuff again. And now I'm like dealing with like permits and like boot mule rentals and like security guards and like whatever, because I'm like, I can't afford this, but I can't afford this, but like I'm going solo and all these people are dying. More people die on this mountain than Everest per year, BT dubs. And like every day that I'm here is one day worse that the weather gets because the season is like winding down. So I'm like, I have got to get to Colombia, or not Colombia. I've got to get to Patagonia like right now. So like every day I'm like, like emergency email correspondence with these different people that are in Patagonia. So I'll be leaving in a couple days to go there. So wish me luck, anyone who can hear this. If there's an episode after this, then I at least survived. And hopefully it's a tale of my victory of summiting this highest mountain in the world that's not in the Himalayan range by myself. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's my jaunt through Nepal, and then got back and had to deal with this very suspicious heisty burglary that I'm still dealing with. And then off to Kentucky, to the Red River Gorge. Beautiful. Frozen at the time. Super cold, but quite nice. And I guess that's everything so far. So that's what I've been up to. So that's it. Any comments? Concerns? Follow-ups?
So you say that it's the highest peak outside
of the Himalayan range. Yeah, highest mountains.
So like isn't it like the Himalayan range has like the...
I'm going to call it the second highest mountain in the world, but like surrounding Everest is like the 15 highest mountains.
Yeah.
Like they're all approximately the same. I just count them as like stuff sticking out of Everest. I'm like, it's cheating. It's all just Everest to me. I mean, it's not technically. It's like 10 mountains like really clumped together that are part of that same range that are about the same height as Everest. But boo, it's boring. It's all in the same spot. This is one mountain with several peaks. This is the second highest mountain in the world.
What's the actual
height
mountain called?
Aconcagua.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aconcagua. Okay, I've heard the name.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that was the second highest.
That's right. If you ignore all those ones that orbit
apparently
Everest.
More dangerous than Everest.
That's right. Because the reason more people die on it is because it's in the Patagonian range, and they underestimate how severe the mountain gets towards the top. So everyone's like, yeah, we're just gonna hike on up. It's no big deal. And they get up there and like, oh, we're dying. And then I found out that so I'm like buying all these supplies and stuff because I'm taking it very seriously, especially after I found out like all these people are dying or whatever. So I'm taking it super duper seriously. I've done a lot of research on it, which is not per the usual.
Usually like, oh, I got a walking stick and
usually
some
I
sandals,
just
I'm good.
I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna flip flop my way up this mountain, and I'm actually like buying gear and supplies and everything, and like I'm going all in. So I'm gonna be extremely shitty if this doesn't work out because I have used all of my funds. Like initially, I was going to climb this mountain and then circumnavigate South America before I went back to Japan, and now I'm like out of money. So now I'm like, all that matters is getting up and down this mountain because it's all I have now. I spent all my money on trying to get up and down this mountain. I have to do this, and I'll have enough money left over to go up and down the west coast of South America. So I'll go up and down Chile, Argentina, Ecuador, Colombia.
So I know we were talking about visiting Antarctica.
Yes, so that's why I have to go to the southern tip of
few places you can actually like get there.
Yeah, so I have to go to the southern tip of Chile and try to run some recon on that. But yeah, so that's what I'll have to do. So I'll be back in a couple months instead of like 4 months. I'll be back in like 2 months. So yeah, if I don't make it up this mountain, I'm gonna be like, what am I gonna do with all this expensive ass gear? But yeah, I have to keep. So at first I was just gonna not get any mules or anything, but I did a lot of research, and like a lot of people were going on message boards and stuff, and they were like, hey, can we I'm gonna ask some people about like who live in the area and like who have soloed this mountain before. Like, should I get a mule? I'm thinking about not getting a mule, and people are like, yeah, I've done it without mules. And people are like, oh yeah, we've all done it without mules. For fuck's sake, like please rent a mule. Like whatever you do, rent a mule. Like it's like a 16-hour upward climb. If you're going by yourself, you're gonna have like over 100 pounds of gear.
Yeah,
get a mule. But so I was like, okay, I'll get a mule. So I'm like emailing back and forth with the mule company. They're like, oh, but you need these permits. And I'm like doing permit paperwork. And they're like, oh, but now they're talking about I might need insurance. And I'm like, well, I don't own any insurance. So I might need to get this taken care of. And then some people were like, yeah, towards the top, they have a checkpoint where if you don't have these specific boots, occasionally they don't let you up any higher. And that's because people will try to go higher and their feet will fall off. Like, they will freeze. Like, they will get the worst frostbite and lose their feet. So you need these boots. So I checked on getting these boots. They're $850. Jesus. So I was like, well, I can't afford those boots, but you can rent them for like $30. So I was like, cool, I will rent these boots. But everyone has rented the boots. Yeah. They're gone. So I'm like, I need some boots, please. And the mule company I've been emailing with was like, yeah, we don't have any boots, but we'll find you some boots. I'm like, okay. Please don't ruin this for me. I really don't want to fly into Argentina and not be able to climb this mountain.
We'll get you some boots. I mean, they aren't the right kind, but...
yeah, look at you. Like, I have boots. I need these boots. So, yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I'm all geared up and ready to go. I'll be heading out in a couple days.
Or they're going to get you some, jank counterfeit ones that look like them.
I don't
But then they don't
care.
actually protect your feet at all.
I was about to say, yeah, I don't care, because some people were like, yeah, I rented these boots, and they were uncomfortable, because they've been used before. Like, yeah, do you still have your feet?
Yeah.
That's all I care. Did you make it? Do you have your feet? That's all I care about. If I wanted to be comfortable, I wouldn't be climbing this mountain.
Yeah.
It's. I don't care about being comfortable.
Climbing
I care
a
about
mountain
succeeding.
isn't really a comfortable thing.
It's not. It's type 2 fun, which is the type of fun that is miserable at the time, but really fun to talk about later. That's type 2 fun. Type 1 fun is fun that's fun at the time and pretty fun to talk about later. Type 2 fun is fun that's miserable at the time, but really fun to talk about later. And type 3 is miserable at the time and not fun to talk about later, aka it's not fun at all.
But it makes a good story.
Yeah, not really. Well, that's kind of like, it's not even a good story. That's like type 3. It's like not fun at all. Like type 2 is miserable but makes a great story. It's like fun to recount. Type 3 is like, yep, it's miserable and...
Well, some people take joy in your misery.
Yeah, that's...
fraud.
That's type 2. That's type 2. But that's their fun. That's their type 2 fun.
Yeah.
It's your not fun, though. So it's not even fun to recount. But yes, that's everything. So that's where I'm going to be. Hopefully the next time we record an episode, I'm talking about my victory.
So yeah, hopefully I don't get a text and like, you know,
like, go hear about Nash.
3 months from then, be like, yeah, Nash, he didn't make it off the mountain.
It happens, man. It happens. Like, people die all the time. So yeah, I'm hoping to really, like, they die from like high altitude stuff. They die from like storms and avalanches. They die because, your brain can swell up and then you die, or your heart swells up and you die, or you fall off the mountain and you die.
Or you just get stuck up there and die.
Yeah, you just get stuck up and die. You don't have good enough equipment, so your feet fall off, so you get infected and then you die. You get a burrito from the side of the road, you get diarrhea, it kills you. These are all things that could happen. But not to me, because I have an iron stomach. Yeah. It's coated in gold. I haven't pooped my pants yet. I wonder if this is going to be the time. Is Aconcagua going to be when I poop my pants?
You're going to be high enough up that your poop freezes.
That's a real thing. No, that's
oh my god,
that's it. Yeah, oh. You actually want that though, because you can't poop on the mountain. You can't leave any garbage or poop on the mountain, but there's no toilets or water or anything. So they give you a bag with a number on it, and that's your shit bag. So you got to carry around 3 weeks worth of your shit or whatever. And if you don't turn it in, it's $1,000 fine.
I just didn't poop.
Yeah, right. You can turn it in an empty bag, and they'll be like, I don't believe you.
I didn't poop, dude.
I didn't poop these past 3 weeks.
I'm not a big pooper.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Yeah, I don't believe in pooping.
Or no, you're a massive pooper, but you only poop once a month.
That's right. Yeah. Why do you think I waddle so much? No, but from what I hear, the bag is pretty flimsy. It's the Indian train greasy paper sack bag. So they were just get a bunch of really strong Ziploc bags, poop into the Ziploc bags, and then they'll freeze immediately, and then you can just put them in the poop carrying bag. That way, if your poop carrying bag tears, who cares? Because it's just holding your real poop bags. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Because you don't want to take a fat poop in the poop bag and it just falls out the bottom of the bag. You're like, oh no, because if you get caught pooping not in the bag, that's $1,000 fine. And it's just son of a bitch, always with the fines. So yeah, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah. I got my Ziploc bags. Got all my gear that I think I have all my gear except for these boots. And the mule people said that I should be good on a mule, because I wasn't even going to get one, and then everyone was really convinced me to get one. All the research I did, they were like, yeah, just get a mule. And I was like, man, I don't know. And I started looking into it. If you rent the mule, which by the way, $300, quite the value, because they don't take your stuff only goes to base camp. You still have to take it the rest of the way up yourself.
Right.
But your stuff goes to base camp.
Because I assume you aren't hoisting the mule up,
right?
As you climb.
Yes. God damn! Why did I rent this mule? This is just 700 extra pounds. No, and they were like, yeah, when you rent this mule, get a actual muleteer, which is what they're called, people who have come from generations of muleteers. They're like, get a name brand, spend the extra money, because otherwise you're gonna spend $100. You're gonna put all your gear on this mule. The guy's because you don't see your stuff for 2 days. They meet you at base camp. So it's 2 days are going to go by, you're going to get to base camp, and you just paid somebody to steal your stuff. You're never going to see it again. It's okay, I will get the name brand guy. But yeah, so I got the name brand mule people, but it's not about the mule, really. The mule is icing on the cake, but you get to base camp, there's no water up there, but the different muling companies control the water. So unless you're taking water with you, you need their water. But if you rent their mule, you get their water. All you can drink. And they have toilets at base camp. And they have guardsmen to guard your gear. Which is the one thing I was trying to get anyway. But it was $1,000 for them to guard. But if I get a mule for $300, I get a mule plus all that other stuff.
All included.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? This sounds like a really good deal. Yeah. So, and then, but I have to go in person to get my permit at the permit office. It's $1,000. They only take cash. But they're ATMs. And they only take small. If you're paying in US dollars, you can pay in dollars or pesos. But if you're paying in US dollars, they only take small, crisp bills. So you just have to rock up with $1,000 in brand new 20s. That's kind of inconvenient. Or you can use the ATM, but because of new drug enforcement anti-criminal laws, everyone can only withdraw $150 per day from the ATM. So you're looking at having to stand around the ATM for
9 days.
9 days, yeah. So I'm just gonna have to carry around $2,000 in crisp cash on my person until I hopefully summit this mountain, and then it'll be Hakuna Matata. I'll just really relax. It'll be nice being able to relax finally, but that won't come for several more months. So I will update you guys. No more real-time Facebook updates. because that's what's getting me burgled. I don't know where the mole is. I've got a mole somewhere, but no one knows what I'm going to be up to. Also, these episodes go up like way late anyway, so it doesn't matter. I put them on a time delay, so when I upload them, they're not going to be up until I'm hopefully down and back from the mountain. But yeah, so I don't know where the chink in my armor is, but somewhere. So everyone's on a need to know basis. Everyone only gets to hear about my Tales of Daring Do after I've done them, until I get this place completely built like a fortress and all my poison tipped arrows in place. Then I will bait them. I'll be like, I'm gone now, I'm out of the country, and I'll just be like huddled in a corner with all my weapons, like, come and get it. I'm ready.
That would be elaborate to have one where you do a whole podcast episode about how you're leaving.
Yeah, then I put it all on Facebook. It's gonna
maybe even take some photos from like a time you didn't release them.
Yeah,
and put them up and say like, look, I'm here.
Yeah,
and just fucking wait.
Yeah, better believe it. I can wait.
Cigar and
I can
shit.
wait
like
for days.
You're fucking like backlit,
just
sitting
on a rocking chair with a shotgun.
Yeah. No, I'll be on the roof. Be on the roof with my cape blowing in the wind, just ready to put an arrow straight in someone's leg so they can't get away. I have some questions. We're gonna have a chat. But yeah, so that's where I'm at so far. Any final closing remarks?
Well,
Jesus Christ, it is late and I'm tired.
I wish you luck.
Thanks. I'm gonna need it. I make my own.
Both in that you get to do it.
Yeah, and succeed.
And succeed.
Yeah. That's really all that matters is winning. Yeah, one of my buddies
by winning
posted this thing that was like, yeah, life is, my life's going good. Life's not about overcoming challenges, it's about this and this. And I was like, that's all my life is about, is overcoming challenges. You're totally...
I actually heard this
You're
thing.
taking everything away from me.
I heard on the Joe Rogan podcast, he said, like one of the guests that he had on said, it was a quote from somebody else, but he said, like, something about like the average man or something looks at his life and sees only blessings or a curse.
Yeah.
But like the warrior or whatever, like all they see are challenges.
Yeah. That's it, man. Just challenges to overcome.
Yeah.
And my buddy's like, life's not about overcoming challenges. And I'm like, my entire life is adversity to overcome. That's it. It's just a constant shitstorm hurricane for me to punch my way through, and I am doing it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no challenges, what are you doing?
Yeah, what am I doing? I don't know.
Sitting around jagging it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Great, but
which is in itself kind of a challenge, but yeah. Sometimes.
Just gotta see how quick you can do it.
High score. But yeah, like if I can't function without like some kind of external pressure. So like if I didn't have challenges, I'd just be like, well, woke up again. I don't know what to do about this. We'll try again tomorrow, I guess. But yeah, that is everything. All right, well, you guys enjoy the next couple of months. Aaron, Sound Guy Ben, listeners, and probably, I don't know, if anyone's listening to this, it'll probably be like a week in real time before we get to the next episode. But it's months in real time. So I'll see you then. Nash out. Panache. Nash! Whoa!
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's me in front of the largest stupa, and there's the no man's land. This is India over here, and this is Nepal over here. But anyway,
so
this is the power line. Who's paying for this?
It's like when your neighbor runs an extension cord thing. Like India's doing that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, all right, I think Nepal might be doing that to India. X this out. Go to slowly. Here, click on this. This is how all of Nepal is wired. I'm pretty sure it's.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure all of Nepal is just extension cords into one outlet.
I saw some of Israel too, and it kind of
yeah. Well, there's actually a lot of places in the world that are like that.
Yeah.